What's up, everybody? You've made it. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of me. For look at this. I'm doing the video recording all by myself. It's a new world, folks. And for those of you who don't know what's going on, you are listening to the Joyspiracy Theory. And razzle dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil, baby. Now, what is the Joyspiracy Theory? Well, in January of 2020, a lot was going on. But one of the most important things that happened in January 2020 was the last episode of the Joyspiracy Theory, which was a project born out of the desire to take our minds off of all the fringy, weird, spooky things going on in the world. If you've been following the work of Canary Cry Radio or Canary Cry News Talk, look, we understand it's real easy to get either too sucked in, become too anxious, too focused on all the horrible things going on in the world, or completely check out and say, no more. I'm going back to my yarn spinning hobby instead of listening to podcasts. Both are totally acceptable and natural. But the Joyspiracy Theory was an attempt to bring a little bit more, lightheartedness, specifically to the Canary Cry community. But look, anybody is welcome here. So use this as an opportunity to forget about the news, forget about the New World Order, forget about UFOs, and just sit and relax. And maybe, although I have now lowered my standards, but maybe if we can find a little bit of joy, that would be wonderful. But no pressure, no pressure. I know it's a different world. It is literally a different world from when the Joyspiracy Theory was a thing. And so now I will say, get whatever you want out of this, folks. Get whatever you want. And for those who are longtime Joyspiracy Theory listeners, you've enjoyed having on authors and scholars and YouTubers and podcasters and researchers and academics and all the same type of people that we'll have on Canary Cry Radio, revealing the mysteries and the secrets of this realm in which we live. But you get a chance to kind of talk to them about other stuff. Sometimes I'll talk to them about baseball. Sometimes I'll talk to them about their UFO abduction story. Whatever the case may be, but we're always having fun, okay? Well, like I said, January 2020, last episode of the Joyspiracy Theory, you would think that after January 2020 would have been the perfect time to keep making the Joyspiracy Theory. That would have been a very helpful thing during that time. However, my attention was drawn away and was put towards the new, improved format of Canary Cry News Talk. And if you found this podcast without knowing what Canary Cry News Talk is, welcome. The Lord has brought you a long ways. And you're welcome here, and also go listen to Canary Cry News Talk. If you're wondering what would cause somebody to put together such a ludicrously lighthearted podcast. Now, here's the thing, folks. It wasn't just about scholars and authors and academics and all those types of people. It started that way. But very quickly, it became an opportunity for me, personally, to have direct conversations with people who listen to my podcasts. And look, we always talk about the Canary Cry community. We talk about the producers and how it's a very interesting family that we've all put together here and we're all a part of. You don't have to consider it family if that's not what you're into, but you gotta say it's a pretty unique and tight-knit community. And so having the opportunity to sit down for a couple hours and chat directly with people who have been listening to me for many years is a very special and rewarding experience. And I think I did it 50 some odd times up until January 2020. And then, then you know what happened. We all know what happened. But we're back. We're back. If I could have made the choice over again to keep the Joyspiracy Theory going, I probably would have. It probably would have made a lot of sense. If here's the thing. There's not everybody has a time machine. I do, but not everybody else does. And if you want to get into going back and correcting our mistakes, whoo doggy, everybody knows at the time travel conference that happened late last year that you can never truly anticipate the problems that will create. So here we go. Today's episode, we are speaking with actually an individual who has been on the Joyspiracy Theory before, which is kind of fun, kind of special. We are talking to Sir Jamey, not the Lannister. That's right. You can call him Jamey as well. But Sir Jamey, he's a knight on the Canary Cry Round Table of Knights and Dames. If you don't know what that is, just stick around. You'll figure it out. It'll become clear. Sir Jamey was on the show back in April of 2017 when the timelines of the Earth had not split into such random and unpredictable time streams. No, it was a simpler world back then. It was a simpler time for me personally. It was a simpler time for you, dear listener, and it was a simpler time for Jamey. And here's the thing. Jamey will encourage you to not go listen to that episode. And in fact, going back and listening to myself at that time, I would not necessarily encourage anybody to go listen to that episode. But the thing is, there is quite a bit of background in that episode that if you find yourself maybe wondering something about Jamey's past or something like that, you can go back and listen to the Joyspiracy Theory, TJT versus Jamey, back April 17th, 2017. But I think you guys will be as astounded to see the difference in Jamey's life. What the Lord has done for this young man. It truly is pretty astounding, to see or to listen to the episode from 2017 and listen to it now. It's a very special opportunity that a lot of people do not get to hear your life story from your own mouth, and then 7 years later, see how far God has taken you. And I think this is, if nothing else, this should be an encouragement to each and every one of us to hear the kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, the trebuchet launch of Jamey and his life in over 7 years. And I think if we all get the opportunity, we can kind of we can see that in our own lives. But I will say, I am making no commitment. And this is big for me, guys. You should be very proud of me for saying this. I am not making a commitment to put out Joyspiracy Theory episodes on a regular basis, okay? We are letting God lead on these things. But as you know, dear listener, as you know, the way to make a Basil Rosewater media property continue with any amount of consistency, that's on you, folks. It's your responsibility as much as it is my responsibility to keep this podcast going if we want it to. So I will say, if right now, during the interview, after, at any point, you think, it'd be pretty cool to have more of these episodes, send me an email. Send it to canarycryradio@gmail.com, or you can send it to, what else? basil.rosewater@gmail.com. Just send a little note like, hey, like the episode, do it again, please. Because as we're discovering, with the producer campaign to force me to make emu-based social media content. It truly is the consistent stream of feedback from you, dear listener, that has holds the most potential to make that happen. And I particularly want to put out an invite. This is a standing invite. First, to anybody who ever has been on the Joyspiracy Theory. There will be no preference given, to be clear, but if you ever have been already on the Joyspiracy Theory, there's at least 50 of you. Go ahead, and this is an open invitation. Come back on. Let's talk again. Hang out with your best buddy and chat about whatever old weird thing comes up. Because after having this conversation with Jamey, it's like catching up with an old friend and hearing about all the amazing things that they've gone through since you talked to them last 7 years ago. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be amazing. Life is tumultuous. The ups, the downs. We're going to be having to catch up after the pandemic. I mean, there's gonna be some real parts, but that's what it's about. There's sort of occasionally a misunderstanding about this show. It's that it's sort of just all about being happy. It's all about, staying positive, that kind of thing. You will hear in this episode whether or not that was previously this show's MO. It's a different world. This is post-COVID world, baby. We are finding the joy of the Lord in any old thing that's going on, and we're not holding back. So, standing invitation, if anybody listening to this right now would like to come on the show, just take a couple hours, chat with me. Don't worry, don't stress about it. Don't try to, write out some sort of novel to try to follow. Just hanging out with me, very low pressure, and we'll get to know each other. It's a good time. Send an email, once again, to canarycryradio@gmail.com or basil.rosewater@gmail.com. I cannot even remember if I have a Joyspiracy Theory email address. I'm going to have to figure that out because, we got to keep these brands distinctive, folks. We can't just hodgepodge everything we do into one big email address. So stay tuned. I will figure out if I have the Joyspiracy Theory email account. Okay, so that's the thing. You guys get it. Send me an email right now. Let me know if you want more of this, or let me know if you want to come on the show. We're going to do it. Other than that, I will say there is no official value for value setup here on this show right now. We're gonna hold back for a little bit. No need to get too excited about this. But, if the show takes off again and we start doing it regularly, there will be opportunities to become a part of the project. Especially if you are an artist or if you are a musician or something. What a awesome platform to start working on, putting together some new graphics, putting together some new music, putting together some art, all sorts of fun stuff. Look around me. We've already got a vibe. You got a vibe going on. You heard the music, the ukulele music, royalty free that I got back in 2016. We've got direction here, folks. And if anybody wants to produce the show in any way, you just let me know. Send me an email. Okay, other than that, here we go. We're going to do it. We're starting the episode. Bad news to start out. There's bad news. When Jamey and I sat down, he will tell you, you might even hear us reference it in the podcast. We had the darn doodliest time making the video aspect of this podcast work. We had to use several different programs. We eventually ended up having to go back to good old Skype back in podcasting 1.0 days using Skype. And Skype has this feature where you can record the video. And don't you know it? Of course, the very first time that I'm doing a video solo without Gons, sabotage. Sabotage by the gremlins or the demons or the big tech authorities. It's all the same, folks. It's all the same. Leprechauns, gnomes, CEOs, Silicon Valley bros. It's all the same. And unfortunately, the video from the thing did not happen. Now, Gons is an expert editor. He has volunteered to fix this catastrophic problem. And so, you'll see a very creative experience on the video feed. But remember, a couple things. If you're seeing this, let this be the official advertisement for the Joyspiracy Theory the Joyspiracy Theory YouTube channel. That YouTube channel is sitting there. It is honestly, it's our only backup channel right now for Canary Cry. So you should be following that channel if you want to lock down your Canary Cry YouTube experience. But go follow this show on YouTube, the Joyspiracy Theory. You'll see it. You'll find it. And follow that channel, because if we do start doing this more, eventually it will need to stand on its own and not just show up in every RSS feed or channel that we use for everything. So the Joyspiracy Theory on YouTube. Go there. It's also a podcast feed on your favorite podcast player. Go to your favorite podcast player and search the Joyspiracy Theory and follow that there, the podcast version, because that's also a very important thing to do. Okay, well, here you go, folks. Taking a stab at the Joyspiracy Theory here again. Take this opportunity to get to know a fellow listener. This is someone, you've heard his name before. He's executive producing all the time. He's been a listener of the show. He's been a member of the community for years and years and years. And here's an opportunity to get to know your friend and brother in Christ, even better, Sir Jamey, not the Lannister. Let's hit that Skype sound. Yeah, old TJT listeners, you love this sound. Oh yeah. Now, here's the thing. Well, hold on. Let's pause it. We don't need to pull Jamey up real quick. This is a good opportunity for any musical producers out there. This is a classic TJT sound. This is like a Pavlovian trigger. Like, oh, I'm about to hear a very cool conversation. I'm going to learn about somebody's life and have a visceral experience with the reality, an empathetic experience with the reality of somebody else's life on this planet, and finding that the Lord has his hands in everything and is sovereign. This kind of stuff, right? That's what it's for. But this is a good opportunity for somebody to come in and do an updated TJT, really sick version. Maybe add some beats in there, some bass, like you get the point. Okay, thank you. So if somebody wants to do that, go ahead and email me. All right, here we go. For real. Let's see if Jamey picks up. Sir Jamey, not the Lannister, on the line. What's up, bro?
Hello.
We made it. We tried, and the horrors persist, but so do we. I'm very impressed with our persistence, perhaps even our divine endurance to be able to record this episode. What people are not going to know, or not going to see at least, is going on 2.5 hours now? Nah, just 2 hours of trying to plead with the internet, truly plead with the internet in its entirety, and also the specific entities of various recording platforms to just let us do this. And here we are. We finally did it. How are you doing, my buddy?
Man, better now that I think we're rolling.
We're rolling.
But
We're doing it.
happy to be here, and just obviously this is proof that it's not just you and Gons on Canary Cry. This is just a general don't do what y'all are doing kind of move, and it makes you want to do it more. You know.
Dude, that is so funny. Everybody, listen to Sir Jamey right now. That's why I should be doing this show more, so that the listeners, one by one, will go down. I will have every listener around the world on this show simply to let them experience the truly nonsensical difficulties that come with trying to do this stuff. So hopefully we're starting with you, Sir Jamey. Hopefully we can build sort of a sense of solidarity, a sense of what's the word? I don't know. It's about time. It's time for everybody to grow up. It's time for everybody to leave their childish naivete behind, and for everyone to become podcasters, so that they can feel the pain that I have to feel every other day doing all the things that I do. But enough about that. I don't know how much of the previous recording is going to make it into this recording. So, you know, you and I, we've gone back and forth a couple times here. For those who don't know, Sir Jamey was on the Joyspiracy Theory. It was before he was Sir Jamey. Back then, he was just Jamey. Just any old Jamey. But now, of course, Sir Jamey, Knight of the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, and you can tell because his beard is bigger. There's sort of a noble glow about him, and the mantle of the Lord rests on his shoulders to protect his protectorate. And we were talking about April 17th, 2017 was when your last episode aired, as when we first became friends, and neither of us can get through more than a few minutes of listening to that last episode. You want to tell me the nature of your shame when you listen to that episode? This is the new thing, by the way. Joyspiracy Theory used to be, we start out with, tell me what you're thankful for today. And this
I prepared for that question.
This Joyspiracy Theory 2.0, tell me the nature of your shame.
That's actually great. That's a really good way to lead into it. Man, dude. So back then, about the 10 minutes that I listened to, that I was able to get through, I figured out what part of my life that was, and I was so different. But listening to myself talk, I know what was going on. I was nervous, first of all.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm not now, but back then I was super nervous because to the people that just listen to you and Gons, like, we don't get to talk to you, and then when we already feel like you're our best friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
So essentially, at the time, you were my best friend. You have never. I know Wayne, right? But you guys were. I was nervous to talk to you, but then I had so much to tell, and every question I had a spreadsheet in front of me, and all these stories I wanted to get through, and I couldn't keep track, and it was awful. Also, I noticed I have a list, which I can't stand. I couldn't keep my thoughts together, and it was quite embarrassing. But no shame, I guess. Whatever.
That was a nature that you brought to the show that not a lot of people did, which was you actually came very prepared, and you came with a plan. And much like Gons gets to learn on a regular basis, it doesn't matter what your plan is. When old Basil comes running through the china shop, he's got his notebook. You going to show us your notes?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just writing one down because you're talking about a plan.
The plan. Yeah, well, I want you to know that I go back and I listen to that episode, and you sound totally normal, or at least no more nervous than I think was, what's the word, appropriate. I, on the other hand, I don't remember being that nervous back then, but I listened to myself on that episode now, and man, oh man, I was shaking in my boots. I don't think I It was very interesting, and not to say that I shouldn't have been. And there's a few things that I have gone through in my own soul and spoken to my God about. And part of that is, that was 7 years ago. That's a pretty large portion of, that's over half. That's over half of my career ago. I guess it was a little under half, actually. So, you know what, man? We're all growing. It was a different world. And I'll say this, as cool as I thought I was in 2017, having been podcasting for 5 years back then, as cool and as, cool as a cucumber I thought I was, I listen now and man, I really didn't know what I was doing. And I really had no idea what was going on. And let me make sure to put this pin in it. I was almost certainly nervous because your episode was only episode 16, which is in podcast life very, very early. And I think I had only really interviewed a handful of listeners. You're really early on in interviewing actual listeners because the show started out talking to, authors and whatever, YouTubers and people like that. But when it switched over to talking to actual listeners, and I'm talking to people who have heard, I don't know, at that point, probably just hundreds of hours of my voice, that was pretty nerve-wracking. And again, not to say that I'm nerve-wracked now. I think I've built up some sort of delusion in my head that it's okay to just sort of ramble on with whoever's in front of me. But I do appreciate the growth that the Lord has brought us both through, Jamey. I think it's a testament to his goodness, if nothing else.
1,000%. You know what a lot of people don't realize, what you and Gons do on the shows is really, really impressive. Live show, like that doesn't really exist anymore. Maybe talk radio on like the actual FM radio, they do live radio, but like podcasts aren't live anymore. And being prepared and going into something is one thing, but whenever you're interviewing just a guest, you have no idea who this person is. What kind of background they have or anything.
Yeah.
And you're just literally just talking to a person. Where do you go? Like you just have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And I think you did it really well, dude.
Well, thank you.
And you're talking about yourself being nervous. I was throwing like automatic machine gun ammo. I didn't do you any favors, I promise you. You would ask me a question, and then I would start to answer it, and then get sidetracked and go down another tangent. And then there was one point within the 10 minutes that I listened to recently where you were like, "Hold on a second, stop." You said this, but let's go back to this real quick. And that was the nature of that talk. And I think I had a lot to say, and I was excited to be there, and also nervous. And,
and it was part of the fun.
It's all good.
That's part of the fun too. You can come as prepared as you want, but really, when it comes down to two human beings, two unpredictable, physical beings, each with their own chemistry going on in their body and their brain and experiences of even just 10 minutes before. For sure, this conversation right now is going to be affected by the fact that we've been on the phone together for an hour before finally getting this recording to work. And I think that's actually a good thing. Who knows? Maybe I'll manufacture a reason to talk to the guest for an hour before every show. I'm going to have to really widen out the schedule on that. But I think I cannot take away also from the difference in the world between pre-2020 and post-2020. Pre-2020, we're all living in America. We, got our hopes and dreams, and we're thinking we're going to have a totally normal coming of age experience, you and I about the same age, in our, mid-20s or something back then. And we're just getting started in adulthood, and we're trying to make it work, and we're pretending that we're making it work. But then, after 2024 now, we're war-hardened goblins, to put it in the parlance of AJ. We've, been through a lot, and that makes it a little bit easier to connect on stuff. I'll say that. So, here we are. You mentioned the sort of jumping around to different topics and stuff. And that can certainly be a factor of communicating. I actually find that the jumping around comes a little bit more from having a plan, having a list. Because if we don't have too much of a plan, then we're kind of flowing. We're floating down the river together. And we're just, in a couple of tubes. I imagine we're in sort of, tubes. We each have our own tube. Maybe our tubes are tied together with rope. Maybe there's an ice chest floating not far off, something like that. And maybe we have made sure to check that there's no rapids further down, but we're kind of moving in the same direction, and that direction could go anywhere, but at least we're doing it together. So
1,000%.
You did a good, from what I understand, you've got a list today, and we are going to...
No, not really.
No? Okay. Well,
No.
I was going to say, if there was a plan, we're going to be responsible in using the plan to our benefit, not being slaves to the plan. So
there you go.
One big thing, which I think is important, maybe just for me personally, because the last Joyspiracy Theory was in January of 2020, and then there were no more Joyspiracy Theories, mainly because my energy was diverted to doing 3 episodes of Canary Cry News Talk a week, and that was a lot. But it occurred to me that perhaps 2020 was the absolutely wrong time to be stopping doing this show. I mean, if anything, it would have been a brilliant coping mechanism and some pretty savvy marketing as well. So there's even an episode that I recorded with somebody in January 2020 and did not even release because of everything. So I got to get them back in as well.
I'll say this much. You're right about that, because that was the time where we had the freedom. And I mean, as far as time goes, to do certain things like that. We were all locked up. I was on the road, from traveling a whole 100 or 200 days a year. I was gone, to being in a room that, it was my family's home, to being locked up in this room for, a year and a half. And I didn't do. I'm a musician. I create my future depends on me creating things. And I didn't create. I created one song the entire time, which that is the biggest waste of time. There's a lot of hiking. But that was also a really dark period, obviously for everybody, not just for me. Everybody had a dark time then, but the highs were really high and the lows were really low.
Yeah. It's wild. And I don't necessarily, whatever the Lord wants to do with this, I'm not necessarily trying to make this, let's talk about COVID thing. But I think your experience with the idea that, okay, I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands. I can do anything I want. I could accomplish any creative project. I think it was a pretty common experience to find out that absolutely was not going to happen. Something about, there was a call for all of us in this moment. Of course, there was an authoritative imprisonment into our homes and things like that. But there was also a call at the time to just sort of practice being a person in a room rather than someone who's trapped in a room to do something. I think there's a really serious sort of spiritual loot hanging out in that dungeon that I think is really easy to miss. I do personally appreciate that I kind of didn't have a measurement of creativity at the time, because I certainly didn't get anything else done. All I did was the podcast. And, somebody could say that was a good use of my time, and it was. But it's not, it's I didn't write...
You're the biggest advocate for that.
I didn't write my novel like I definitely thought that I was going to do. Still to this day, I have the fantasy of creating, of writing a book of some kind. And if there was any time to do it, it would have been then. Didn't write a single page. So we're all in this together, folks. Don't worry.
Yeah. Let's rehash some 2020. Actually, later on, I don't want to get this too soon now, but I will tell you a story that happened during that time period of COVID that was very intense spiritual attack.
Well, yeah, I definitely want to, I love that. We're going to talk about that. See, you're helping me right now figure out what this new phase of the Joyspiracy Theory is going to be. I think one thing that I am very interested in, especially with longtime listeners, is like, I don't know how to phrase it. Let me take a running start. I almost want to know, like, what's the biggest improvement of your life, or what's improved about your life? Could be your spiritual life or whatever, financial life or relationally or something. What's the biggest improvement in your life over January 2020?
I know this is the Joyspiracy Theory, and it sounds like it should all be joyous.
No.
I can tell you, there was not a lot of joy. There wasn't a lot of improvement.
No way.
I guess if anything, there was financial improvement.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, with you today, like, forget whatever's in the middle. Like, the middle is not great. But like, if you're here today and you look at yourself January 2020, is there anything that's better now than it was then?
I think my respect for the life that we've been given.
Yeah. Perspective.
You there, Basil?
I'm back.
I'm sorry.
You're back. There you are.
I'm on my, hold on, let me switch over. My mom called me. She knows better. I told her I was doing this.
Mom. Well,
I'm on my phone speaker now. Let me get on my headphones here.
In all fairness, you probably told her that you were doing the show back at 1:00, and she was probably expecting us to be done by now.
It's all good. I actually live right next to her, so if it's important, she'll come knock on my door.
Hey, that's fine.
I already forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, so I learned my respect of like our life, the life that we've been given, because I definitely thought I was invincible and thought I had it all figured out, and I quickly got shown that I didn't have it figured out.
Yeah, you're telling
which
me.
Is good. I mean, I'm now I feel like again earlier, I don't know if it was recorded or not, but earlier we were talking about, I feel like that was 15 years ago when we talked in the past on the last episode, but that was really 7 years ago or something, 6 years ago.
Yeah. Everything before 2019 is either 20 years ago or at least 2016. It went 2016, 2020.
Yeah.
Now,
but I started focusing on like keeping myself healthy after that, because it just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, buddy, that was a big part of your testimony on your other episode, was your chronic health journey.
still dealing with it. I had a procedure today that, I mean, I'm more than happy to talk about because it's real life, but it's actually kind of funny. No, I got to talk about it.
Gotta do it.
Because, all right, should I just go ahead and get into it
Tell
real
me,
quick?
bro. Tell me about your procedures. 2024, the Joyspiracy Theory. What's the nature of your shame? And what was the last medical procedure you endured? I had an appendicitis. I was in the hospital for a month after going septic, baby. Let's go. This is the new show, folks.
Rough. That's rough, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's about to know that I was laying naked on a table trying to spread the word of Canary Cry today.
And that's why you're Sir Jamey. You're Sir Jamey, because in all things, you're doing the good work of a knight of the Canary Cry Round Table.
I had to get an endoscopy, which is a camera. And endoscopy means anywhere. The camera can go anywhere, whether they got to make a hole or use an existing hole. So this one, they had to run a camera in my urethra.
Oh.
And
that's the worst one.
Yeah, no. Well, all right. I'd rather than make a new hole.
I would almost rather they make a new hole. That's it would be a decision. There'd be some details about whatever hole they're going to make, but I could easily see myself choosing any other hole over that one. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, well, I was laying there, and I was nervous. I was high blood pressure when they were getting me ready for it. They're like, "Why is your blood pressure so high?" I'm like, "I'm sweating. What are you kidding me? Like, this is insane." And this sweet lady, man, I don't want to call her old lady, but she's older, gray hair and very nice. She came and got me. She's like, "Okay, you ready?" I was like, "Well, can I say no?" And she's like, "You can." But we get there and she's trying to be nice and talk to me. And she's like, "Well, what's going on? How are you feeling about everything?" I'm like, "It's good. I mean, I'm not liking this." And she's like, "Well, what about," she started talking to me, like making small talk. She was trying to be nice and make small talk with me.
Yeah, she's trying to bring your blood pressure down with the power of an old lady asking you questions.
Oh, right. She literally told me she's a grandma and she can take care of anybody. And
yes.
Like, okay. Great. As I'm laying here with my pants down and you're just talking.
I mean, if anybody could make you comfortable in a situation like that, it's a little old lady. And I'm saying little ol, O-L apostrophe, not old. It's not a comment on her age. A little old lady, that's a spiritual mantle. That's something else. That's just sort of archetype of bringing peace and warmth and calm to a situation. She knows this is her superpower, and she was trying hard. Did it work?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
So she ended up asking me about the eclipse coming up, and I live in a part of Texas that, I mean, they're telling us to go stockpile food, water, and gas because it's going there's going to be a lot of people come here staying and all this stuff. And, I didn't have too much of an opinion on the actual eclipse itself, but I had a strong opinion on everybody coming in, and it kind of makes it hard for us here. And,
coming in, you mean like eclipse tourism or something?
No, there's literally festivals being held in my town.
Oh, yeah.
Of people that God knows how long they're going to stay and whatever. And I'm not too insanely worried about it, but we started talking about that, and she started kind of talking about prophecy and this stuff. And I was like,
hey, now.
I mean, I know. Well, I immediately started talking about Canary Cry. I was like, well, the only place I get my news is the ministry that I tied to, which obviously you guys. And she was all about it. She started dropping names and podcasts that she likes. I was like, well, you need to listen to this one. So look, if nothing else, I made y'all one more fan maybe.
Oh my gosh. If that wonderful angel who helped you in that moment finds her way, not just to listening to Canary Cry News Talk, but hopefully this show, TJT, she's going to learn a little bit about that nice young man she made feel better while laying in a vulnerable position, about to be invaded in one of the worst holes to be invaded. And I hope she hears this. And if she does, I hope she sends me an email basil.rosewater@gmail.com, because that might be a fun way to schedule the various guests on this show. Is we'll do it like a 6 degrees of separation type of thing. Yeah, the next person has to have some sort of connection with the previous person. Just ideas, folks. Just ideas. Don't panic. Okay, tell me more.
I mean, that's it. If that was it. I mean, laying my pants around my ankles on a table and trying to spread canary cry.
Yeah.
Very vulnerable, but I immediately went to, hey, what's my job?
It's like Daniel in the Lion's Den, man. You passed the test. You did it. That was exactly what you're supposed to do. Well, thank you very much for that. It means a lot to me. There's a lot of sort of, I don't know, philosophical wrestlings that I have to do often with the nature of my work, I guess, if I could put it that way. It sounds too fancy saying it that way, but and part of that is, yeah, exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes you find out that somebody was laying naked on a table, about to get something happen to them that I would not wish on my worst enemies, and the first thing that comes to their mind is talking about the show. I mean, that's a big responsibility, and I appreciate you putting me in this situation that not a lot of people in human history have been able to enjoy. So,
yeah, man.
The procedure was fine? All went according to plan?
Yeah, ish. Yeah, I still got work to do, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that.
I got to watch the camera lens, the POV. It was interesting to see inside my own body while I was cringing.
They didn't even put you out? You were just there?
Oh, no. Yeah, I was watching.
Oh my gosh. This is the new Joyspiracy Theory, folks. This is the thing now, okay? So you better come with your most gruesome healthcare procedure. And did they give you a video? Could you keep the video?
Well, it's mine. I should be able to get it.
Yeah, see
if
you can get it.
For insurance and procedures.
I'll play it in the pre-show, the pre-stream.
That's pretty good, actually. It's interesting. We'll put like some effects on it to make it look like you're going through a wormhole in space or something.
It'll be like the title sequence.
Really just my urethra.
It'll be the title sequence or the end credits or something.
I don't know, man. I don't feel like you should hold back from these these topics. We're taught to like our medical history and stuff, or like their I don't know, taboo is the right word, but we're not supposed to know, you're not supposed to share that stuff. But
yeah,
honestly, if people didn't share it, then I wouldn't know what to, I'd be mortified. But my best friend has had this procedure done a few times, and he kind of eased my mind this past weekend about it. Like, it's not a big deal. You're gonna be all right. It's what we're gonna do. And like it's real. It's real life.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing that I learned from my medical procedure, for those who missed it, last year around May, my appendix exploded and I did not know it. My appendix was located in an incorrect place, which meant there was no pain receptors. So it exploded and I didn't notice it until 2 or 3 days later, when I was going like full septic. So I spent a month in the hospital. I got, a robot went in and took my appendix out. And it was really a wild experience. But one thing that occurred to me is like, people have this stuff happening all the time. I was in the hospital for a month, which apparently was unusual. Apparently it's an in and out type of thing most of the time. But, when you cross as close as you can to death's doors, they tend to want to keep you around for a little bit and make sure things are okay. But it's like a lot of experiences in life. When you hear about somebody else going through it, it sounds horrible. When you think about going through it, it sounds horrible. When you hear stories about it, you say, oh, wow, that's horrible. But then it happens to you and you're laying there nude on the table or you're waking up from anesthesia in a strange place. Waking up from anesthesia is the weirdest thing in the world, by the way. I don't know if you've ever got to experience that. And being taken care of by medical professionals for any extended period of time. It all sounds like a lot, but so many people go through it all the time. And the thing that I experienced was the second I was in it, it was like, oh, this is the most normal thing in the world. Like when you're in the process of having the experience, it seems so much, I don't know, it just seems like so basically human. At least it did for me, because there was maybe a day when I was like, this is the craziest thing that has ever happened to me. And then suddenly, it just became the most normal thing in the world. So this is the justification that I am going to keep telling myself, so I don't get taken by surprise someday if I need to get a similar procedure as you. My buddy Jamey did it. Is the most normal thing in the world. Everything's going to be okay.
Well, what's kind of weird is it's not really normal. Like if you think about our technology and everything in the medical field, and
it's not normal. It's not normal at all. It's like aliens. Like it might as well just be aliens, because it's absolutely unnatural and shouldn't happen to anybody. But, we have this coping mechanism where when we're in the middle of an experience, suddenly it becomes the most normal thing in the world. I mean, talk about lockdowns and the pandemic and, all that stuff. What did it take? It took, I don't know, a few weeks, maybe a month to just have it be normal. Again, it's not normal. These are horrible things. But that's such is the nature of experience. So,
I don't know. In Texas, it was always,
I know.
It shut down too much.
Yeah, see, you guys are cool.
Lockdown. I was still going to I mean, we're all right.
Yeah, you guys are cool over there. You got a lot of stuff going on. You've got a lot of Californians, I hear now. That's one thing I hear from all the Texans. A lot of Californians in Texas there. Of course, It'll be the site of the start of the Second American Civil War. So I don't know if you have any feelings about that as a Texan.
I don't have a lot of feelings about too much anymore.
Attaboy. There's that war-hardened goblin.
Yeah, man. I deal with it as one of my favorite sayings right now is, I say tis, but basically it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just you're only presented with the things in front of you, and I think your job is to deal with the decisions you make on a daily basis, and it's not to worry about who says what's coming. And I just started playing golf, and I can't stand it when everybody's like, "Oh, well, it's supposed to rain on Friday." It's like, it's just Texas, man. I mean, it's going to change tomorrow, let alone 5 days from now.
Right.
Nobody knows, and you just deal with what you got in front of you.
Yeah. Yes, I have a situation coming up that's kind of like that. Not necessarily one I want to get into now, but yeah, things could possibly change quite a bit in the next couple months. And, kind of freaked out about it and was making plans and trying to figure out how to deal with it. But in the end, it's, a couple months is a couple months. You're going to figure your way around whatever's going on. You're going to figure it out. So
you won't,
or I won't, and then then that'll be fine or whatever. Yeah. We'll adapt.
Sorry. Yeah.
No. So your chronic health issue was a big topic of the previous episode. Was there any updates or anything on that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, dude. Actually, so
might need to tell people what your issue was too.
Oh yeah, I'm type 1 diabetic. I was diagnosed when I was 14. Highly undereducated and underfunded as far as taking care of it initially. Suffer a lot of health consequences because of it. And but now I just recently, in the last couple of years, got health insurance, which is outrageous. But I got on. Look, I don't want to be judged by the Canary Cry community or you or Gons. But I am now cyborg.
Yeah, bro.
I have I have a pump, an
Yes.
insulin pump, which is basically an artificial pancreas, and it's pretty awesome. It goes into my stomach, and gives me insulin and keeps my blood sugars regulated. I have no guilt about taking on some kind of a device like this.
Good.
It's made my quality of life insanely better.
Amen. No,
and
of course, of course, no judgment. Of course, we got to get. I mean, your pancreas isn't doing it. We got to get you a pancreas that's working here. So that's important. I'm actually a huge fan of the insulin pump. I've known a couple people who have and currently do have them, and I don't know why. I think it's some sort of a little bit of childish part of me that just thinks it's so cool. Like, it's like, when you're a kid and your friend has a cast, like they broke their arm, and you're like, I want a cast.
I had the same thought.
I'm like, dang, that's kind of cool. You get like a little buddy coming around with you. You get to, part of it is you get to have control and like regulate a previously unregulatable body function. I mean, that's the transhumanist dream, bro. I don't know what the problem. No,
I know, but where's the line?
Where's the line? When it starts making you super
uncomfortable.
I'll know. What is it called? It's for insulin resistance, right? Is why you get something like that specifically?
No. Insulin. Yeah, this is just to monitor and regulate blood sugar in a closed circuit thing. Insulin resistance. And I'm one of the more ignorant people, but insulin resistance, I think is like whenever you take insulin and your body doesn't quite absorb it.
Yeah.
Like other people.
I am definitely not the guy to ask about the details, the clinical details of diabetes. You are certainly more educated, and your lived experience is way better. But I hereby declare that Sir Jamey shall be passed no judgment for his transhumanist cyborgism to keep him alive. Totally affirm that. Affirm. It's your let's see here. Blood glucose affirming care.
There you go. Well, I'm not trying to live forever. I'm just trying to make the years that I do have quality.
Yeah, you were having a hard time. You're having a real hard time there for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, man, when you don't know what you're doing and you're uneducated, underfunded, and really have no clue what's going on. But, things are different.
And it's so easy to not have to pay that much attention to it, or at least not pay attention to it. I mean, we're getting around to this age. I mean, you've had this for quite some time, but we're getting around this age where people my age are like starting to, I don't know, have high blood pressure or have pre-diabetes or these, just these age-related, culture-related diseases that don't really affect the average person in their 20s, but you ignore it for a while and then it kind of catches up to you. One for me is my dentist said that I definitely need a root canal, and I'm just kind of ignoring it for as long as I can. And I had actually totally forgotten about it until I went to the dentist again, and they're like, okay, how about that root canal? I'm like, oh, I forgot. I don't know. Not today.
Oh, man.
So sorry to get you off track there. So you were updating.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I'm dealing with the same thing.
Yeah.
They want me to, I never got my wisdom teeth taken out. And they said, if I don't get them taken out, I'm going to have to have root canals. I just keep putting off going to the dentist. I don't know, I'm terrified of it. I have nightmares about my teeth falling out of my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Terrifies me.
Oh, that's normal. That's just as normal as having a camera put in your fourth hole.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I don't know about the wisdom teeth thing. I also have my wisdom teeth. The joke that I tell people when this comes up is I have small teeth and a big mouth, so there's no reason to take out my wisdom teeth. Oh, and I only have 3 of them genetically. So like I've got a empty parking space back here. I could add a tooth and be fine. But again, this last time I went to the dentist, I've been told by dentists, like, you've got a big mouth and small teeth. I don't think you need to worry about the wisdom teeth thing. But then I go back, and we're also now at the age, Jamey, where professionals are our peers. The dentist is younger than me. And this dentist is telling me that I need to get these wisdom teeth out. And, I don't know, not that I'm a big conspiracy theorist or something, but there's a lot of talk about wisdom teeth and why the system wants to get them taken out all the time. I think, there is a part of me that's like, my appendix. What if I needed that? What if I needed the appendix and it secreted a hormone or something to protect me from the aliens or to help me hide from, I don't know, techno-Nazis or something? What if we figure out that my appendix was really important and it's gone? And same with the wisdom teeth. I mean, they're called wisdom teeth. They seem more important than the other teeth.
1,000%.
Yeah. See, we're just floating down the river here, Jamey. We're just floating down the river. We're making it through this together.
Well, I hope that I just don't come across as a bumbling idiot like last time. And whenever when somebody listens to this, is not wasting their time, and they just have a good time listening to us ramble on. Couple buddies.
That's what this is all about.
That's the way I wanted to go into this, is talking to my buddy who I haven't seen in a long time.
That is how everybody should come on this show. I understand it can be nerve-wracking. I understand that, I think it's fair to say that there is, I think they call it a parasocial relationship here. We can all admit that. That's totally cool. But I am excited to get to meet people who consider me to be their friend. And I do instantly feel a kinship, a friendship with every person who reaches out to me. And you were one of the early ones, dude. You were reaching out even before you came on to TJT. You were in the zone back when we were on Facebook, we were Facebooking. And it is kind of funny because we've been in each other's presence. What do you think? At least twice, maybe 3 times.
At least twice.
I think it's twice.
At least twice. I can remember twice. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's enough for me, man. That's all I need. We've done 2 podcasts and hung out twice. We're best buddies as far as I'm concerned. But I think
Absolutely.
that I think what you're saying is actually really important to say. I know I don't know if what you're saying, I don't know if you know what you're saying is as important to me and to the rest of the listeners as it really is, because everybody is going to feel that way coming on this show. Everybody is going to have a sort of sense of unease, I think, because of the nature of the parasocial setup going on here. Just the fact that I'm in people's ears all the time, and they are not in my ears. I only have so many ears. I can't have everybody in my ears all the time. So I think that's a very good thing in this new age, this new transformation of the Joyspiracy Theory, where it's about our deepest shames, it's about our medical procedures, it's about our parasocial relationships becoming true friendships. Isn't that what we need nowadays, Jamey?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think we shouldn't be. I don't think we should be holding back our faults and stuff like that. I'm the first to admit all of my problems and my faults, and I'll tell you where I was wrong. And I think it's just more about being honest and open, and that's how you get people to relate to you.
Yeah.
Not that I'm asking for people to relate to me or anything, but to me, it helps when somebody's more real. I feel like nowadays I can sense when somebody's just putting on this mask,
right,
or whatever.
It's because you went through years of people telling you to wear a mask.
or I chose to wear a mask without people telling me.
Ooh.
And now, yeah, I mean, which would be the case. And it's weird because sometimes I do. We can get into this later, but my new career in a very public eye, and I go out and I make it a point to converse with people when I wouldn't normally do that in my normal day-to-day life.
Yes, bro. What am I talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's not save it for later. Let's talk about your career now, because that was sort of a developing situation back when we spoke last, I think.
It was a huge deal. Well, so with again the 10 minutes that I listened to our last episode, I learned that I was working at the sign shop that I worked at the time. And I had one of the last things I heard myself say was I had never really left Texas. I'd maybe been to Florida once and up to Oklahoma a couple of times. And since that episode, I have made it a career traveling the world.
Yes, bro.
Like getting paid to travel the planet.
Yes, bro.
That's and be in front
transformation. That's the transformation of coming on this show. All your dreams come true when you do an episode with me.
Well, that's another thing, which, God, see, I'm doing the same thing I did last time we talked. I'm jumping tracks, but
let it flow.
The transfer, like doing your dreams, like I got everything that I wanted, which scares me because I know how this life really works. You don't get what you want, you get what you need. And when you get what you want, you better have your eye out for something coming on the horizon.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about, of course, the inevitable disaster that follows anything good happening?
Yeah, basically, yes.
Bro, that's a look. I'm dealing with that as well. I mean, I think, of course, I will say this. I think it's very common to deal with that idea, but I'm sort of trying to talk myself out of that, man. I'm not so sure. I mean, I think it's a great defense mechanism. I think dudes like you and I, and a lot of people listening, we have this very real defense mechanism that has protected us for a very long time, which is when things, especially when things are good, we start looking out for, we don't want to get our hopes up too much. We don't want to get too comfortable. Maybe that's a more precise way to say it, because like it feels like there's a balance owed for good things happening. Let's talk about that, and I can talk about how I'm really trying to convince myself that is not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm in that transitional period too. Like, this is something that just recently kind of occurred to me that, hold on, I got everything I wanted. I mean, here's the other thing. I just built, for the first time in my life, I'm living alone, which is all I really ever wanted.
Yes.
I've got a tiny home. So I'm about to be 37. That's how long it took me to have some sort of success, what I would call success. And I just got this tiny home I'm living in. So I've got it almost decked out the way I want it. I have the job I've always wanted. I have the freedom that I've always wanted. And yet I still feel this impending, like, hey, embrace it while you can kind of feeling. And I don't think that's going to go away. And, honestly, it could be one of the reasons that I was telling you the other day when we talked on the phone about, like, I always felt called to do the tithe, like an actual biblical tithe. But I was telling you the other day that I feel drawn to do more. And I feel, honestly, that impending sense that I feel, I don't know whether it's in the state of the world or my own life, that it's just there's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I could tell you right off the top, I'm not saving for anybody's college funds or retirement or anything. So what do I believe in the most? And that's what you guys are doing. So that's why I just kind of committed myself to, I'm not gonna stress. I'm gonna appreciate the gift. I got exactly what I want. Appreciate that and do as much as I can with it in the meantime. And I don't know. Just this is my last chance to do kingdom work is how I feel, and that's very morbid.
No, it really isn't.
But
It's there's so many good things in what you said. I'm going to try to make my way through them, and we can make it to the other side. I mean, what you might describe as morbid, or maybe, I don't know if you really feel that way or if that's just a way to talk about it that people can relate to. Um, but yeah, the idea that, well, first of all, not saving for retirement, not saving for a college thing, not, for kids is the implication there, not saving for these things that we're told we must do if we want to stay alive later. If we don't want to be a bad person, we need to, do these things. And I'm not here to say that anybody should not do them, but it is this weird concept where we are putting our faith in. It's honestly putting your faith in money. I'm trying to think of a cooler, deeper way to say it, but the culture that we're in basically has convinced us that if we're not putting our faith in mammon, then we're a bad person. Like there's a morality to it, Like
you hit the nail on the head. That's it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're asking for it. You're asking to be punished if you're not doing the saintly thing by saving this much and this much, And of course, giving is also a part of that, and that's a big part of the conversation that people have about tithing. Is no, you're not a bad person if you don't tithe, and this kind of stuff. That's not what it's about, but people have their own thoughts about that. I see you have something to say.
I know that for a fact. Well, no, I'm just my sensor just expired, so I got to change that here in a second.
Oh, cool, bro. Okay, yeah, that's this show.
What tells me my answer.
Your deepest shame,
on the show,
yes, too. Medical procedures, and then everybody who comes on has to do a medical procedure on the show.
What I was going to say, though, the other thing, the more important thing was I'm in a very unique situation. I can't really have kids unless I go through a medical procedure to have them. I don't have a lot of people depending on me. I'm just a solo individual. I do have siblings, and I have people in my life that I care about. But they're all working on their own, they're not depending on me. So, what am I going to do with what I have? And honestly, this is where I feel like doing the most of what I have.
Totally. No, I mean, and it's another part of this is.
I'm listening. I gotta go. I gotta charge this thing.
You're good. He's got to charge his robot thing, folks. He'll be right back. But a big part of it, for me, is I grew up in a Christian tradition, not in that it's a pay to play, name it and claim it, give money away because you will get money back type of thing. But I was raised in a very pro giving culture, Christian culture, and series of churches. And it's funny because I was actually just talking to my mom about this, and she was giving me the lowdown again, which I appreciated. Hi, Mom. Where it's not so much that you're giving because you expect something back, or now I'm talking about tithing, or you're giving because you have to, or because something magical or supernatural will happen, or something like that, or that if you don't do it, it's not necessarily that something bad will happen, but it is it's almost a part of the natural state of how the world works. You're going to be giving no matter what. You could be giving it to a 401k, in which case a bank is taking it and they're investing it, and who knows, they might go under or whatever. There's a risk there. You might be giving, the money flows through you either way. Money flows. That's the whole thing. And so many of us in this culture are sort of, I don't know if we're aware that money is sort of supposed to flow like that. But the idea is we just got to hold on to it. Why? It doesn't matter for any reason, for all the reasons. There's not enough of it. And even if we have enough of it right now, we won't have enough of it later. And look, I'm all for fiscal responsibility. Don't get me wrong, people. But the fact that it is like as important as the movement of our blood. You're participating in whatever's going on, and you can participate in ways that you have no choice: paying your bills, paying your taxes, paying your this, buying whatever you're being told to buy, getting more things, whatever those things are. The money's gonna flow no matter what. Or you can be participating in what God has going on in the world and what God is doing and what God is empowering. And of course, a big part of it as well is not that God can't do it without us, but we benefit. We benefit when we, are telling God like, hey, yes, I am here. I am participating. Whatever you got going on, I want in on it. Let's go, baby.
I'm glad you brought that up because I don't feel, and this is how I know what I'm doing is right. I didn't start, again, so like back whenever I first found you guys, I'll just try to recap really fast. I got a small amount of lump sum money that was given to me, and I had never tithed before, and I gave you guys part of that. This was like back in, I don't even know, maybe 2015, 16, like right before we talked.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I'll just say it again right now for context. That gift of yours was really one of our very first sort of big come-ups. Yeah.
I mean, all of that I gave you then, and then what I give now it's not because of like, I think I'm going to get something in return. That is the reason I know that it's right is because I want what y'all are doing to succeed beyond me. You know what I mean? I want it to keep going. And I had, earlier, I don't know if it was on this recording, but earlier when you asked me, we talked about, you used to start the show with, what are you thankful for? And that was actually a question I was kind of prepared to answer today. And it was like, I'm thankful for the producers of Canary Cry because they're the ones that keep the show alive and give me my news outlet, first of all. But something I can feel like I did something in the world by spreading Canary Cry to somebody else.
Yeah.
Who needs it.
Yeah, totally. Well, we are definitely have that in common. I mean, that is, again, so taking just a quick little turn back to something you said earlier, which is, when things are really good and your dreams are coming true, you're really keeping an eye out for whatever comet is heading straight for your house, or, because in a similar way, and, I don't know if you're being explicit about what your dream job is here today or not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm in the public eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a dream job. Anybody listening would be like,
I play with a successful band.
Yes.
It's called Whiskey Myers.
There you go. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
He said it, folks. He said it out loud. He's the bassist for Whiskey Myers, which is very cool. And, I was not previously familiar with Whiskey Myers, but now I have the absolute pleasure of telling people, I know the bassist from Whiskey Myers. And they go, what? No way. I'm like, yes, I'm very cool. Stick with me, kid. So, and that is the quintessential dream job, rock star. It is what it is. And I consider myself to have somebody's quintessential dream job. When I had the chance to think up what my dream job would be, professional podcaster did not exist. Professional podcaster did not exist for basically half of my podcasting career. The professional, class of podcasters was not anything up until basically recently. And I just woke up someday recently in the past couple years, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm living off the grid. I have emus. I am a professional podcaster. I mean, I got other stuff going on too, but my goodness, when is the asteroid going to hit my house? Oh no. It's so easy to feel like you don't deserve it. That's always a part of it. What does deserve even mean? For me, what does it mean? Like when people say I don't or do deserve something, I look at them and I am the wise podcaster who says, what does deserve even mean? And they go, I don't know. Good point. Wow, you really changed my mind about that. And yet I have not changed my own mind about that. I do not deserve this life that the Lord has provided. Can you hear the helicopter flying over?
I do hear that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't heard one from me yet.
No,
honestly.
I didn't hear you. I am sort of, anyways, big helicopters fly by once in a while.
You say.
Yeah. So, back on track. When is the asteroid gonna hit? So easy to sort of get caught in this idea that like, because I don't actually deserve this, because I didn't, it's barely of my own making, or at least we can feel that way, that at any time it can just go away. And the producers of Canary Cry News Talk, I would never say this to their face. Don't let them know that I said this. Have made my dreams come true. Like that, what I didn't know was my dream, and it's because of people getting it, and people enjoying it, and people realizing that it doesn't exist without their participation, and, the whole thing. And yet, I mean, it is a small group. Is less than 1% of listeners are producers of the show. And by golly, I understand the 99%. The 99% of people who maybe they don't wish me ill. They enjoy the show. And perhaps they have a couple bucks, but, they got a couple bucks, got to go a lot of different places, man. Our bucks got to go a lot of different directions. And, when some producers stop producing, that's when other ones come in and start producing. It is just an incredible thing that the Lord is doing through the producers. And it's not just so I can live the dream, obviously. It is, we are all here in service in whatever God is doing in the world, is kind of what I have to land on.
So let me say this. This is for you, and I guess anybody else listening to this.
Okay.
You said something about, because I feel the same way. Like sometimes I don't deserve this, whatever. First of all, we do. But it's not about deserve. It's about you are where you're supposed to be. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And, we just played, we took off, dude, I've been off since early December of last year.
Ooh.
I have like 4 months off. And that is an insane amount. And I was getting paid the whole time. I mean, that's an insane amount of time to be off and get paid.
Yeah, bro.
And then we go to work recently. We started a whole new production setup. We got this whole new thing, and it's amazing, and it's really cool and nerve-wracking because the shows are getting bigger, and there's just so much involved with it. And like I make our walkout songs. I produce our band to a certain degree. Sweet. As far as sounds and stuff. And we played Houston Rodeo last week, and it was 60,000 plus people.
Ooh.
And I was getting nervous. It's a new show, a new set. I've been off for 4 months. And I was in the back freaking out. panic attacks. I always do that. Every show, doesn't matter what
Yep.
show it is. Always just having anxiety and stuff. And one of the guys who in the band, because we're all good friends, he was like, it made the most sense he's ever made to me. He was like, hey man, chill. We're here because we're supposed to be here. Like, it doesn't really matter how bad you feel about yourself or what you think you're doing is wrong or right or whatever. It's just you're just, again, I'll go back to is what it is.
Yeah.
And we're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing, and we shouldn't. I think whenever we say we don't deserve it, we probably do God to deserve us.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. That's good. I mean, yeah, that is sort of, my question being, what does it mean to deserve? Do I deserve? Do I not deserve? What does deserve even
Nobody
mean?
deserves anything.
Yeah, because I kind of go both ways. Like, nobody really deserves anything, but at the same time, nobody really deserves anything. But also, whatever. So it's like this whole big mind bending like thing to try to work through. But I think what you just said is the key to stepping out of that, which is, deserve, not deserve. That's like not even the right question. It's, are you standing right in the middle of God's will for you? Being, it's an old saying, like, being right in the middle of God's will is the safest place to be. And you talk about the sovereignty of God, and that brings up some tough human questions depending on the situation somebody is in. But it is maybe the most freeing possible thing for somebody, at least kind of dealing with the struggle we're talking about, which is, if God didn't want us here, we wouldn't be here. And that can go for a lot of situations.
And there's once you realize that, there's a comfort to it too.
Yeah, already I can feel my body responding with calm and relaxation, just saying it out loud. I wouldn't be here if this isn't exactly where God wanted me to be. And if God didn't want me to be here, guess what? I wouldn't be here. It's just sort of how it works. So
yeah, but I'm gonna keep making sure you're working your butt off to do Canary Cry. So,
this is a funny part about it too, and I know there's going to be listeners, the grumpy listeners out there are going to be like, Basil talked too much about himself. He's got such a big ego, and that's okay. Here I am. But oh nuts! Did I just forget what I was going to say? Oh no! What are we talking about? See, that's why I can't make fun of listeners, because it messes me up. Being right where God wanted us. We wouldn't be here if God didn't want us here. And if God didn't want us here, then we wouldn't be here. Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's okay.
Can't believe I can't lead myself back to it. So with the producers, I was never once in my life a good student or a good employee. Somebody, it's probably got a lot to do with this, problem with authority floating around that I have. Look, I'm just not a huge fan of the federal government, not a huge fan of authoritarian policies, not a huge fan of somebody telling me what medical procedures I need to get. Not a huge fan of a teacher telling me maybe anything. And certainly not a very good employee for those exact same reasons. But the place that the Lord has put me in, where I do not have a boss to answer to, but I have thousands of bosses who I answer to on a regular basis. And it sounds like the thousands of bosses would be the scarier version or the more impossible version. But for some reason, the programming that the Lord has installed on me, I love working for thousands of people at the same time. It just makes sense to me. Part of it is, any one person who has a grievance, sorry, buddy. You're gonna need to go start a petition and let me know, like, what get the gang together. But I truly, truly love working for the producers of this show more than I think I ever would have thought I could. And you can tell them I said that. I don't know if any of them are listening right now, but do tell them that.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you didn't have to try. Like, the reason you have producers is because we love what you already do. So there's no like, you don't have to try to impress or try to work hard. You just do you.
Yeah.
You and Gons do y'all's thing, and it's like, it's perfect.
Well,
I know it's not always perfect, but
yeah, as you got a little taste of today. Well, I will say, I might not have to work so hard to impress the producers, but I will say I do work harder than I ever thought that I could on what we do, which is another, again, just very fulfilling thing. Part of not being a good employee is not having my heart in it and literally doing the minimal, possible, viable amount of work. And, having it set up this way, I mean, man, I have never seen myself be so motivated to work hard in my entire life. And you know what? If the podcast goes away, I might just be out of luck, because I don't know if I could go back to working for one guy again or one gal. That might just be the end of old Baz. You go live in a van down by the river. But that day is not this day, Jamey. And part of that is thanks to you.
No, sir. We're going to keep going until we can't, right?
Yep, that's right.
Plus, you got a farm full of animals to take care of, apparently.
I got goats. They depend on me, man. They depend on me. I've got 6 little emu babies that are in an incubator right now. My children, my sons, my daughters. I do it all for them. What's it like being a rock star?
Have you already started constructing? Oh, dude. It's. See, I hate that term, rock star, because that's not me. But it's a very. I mean, it's like I think I said earlier. It's got the highs are really high and the lows are really low.
That seems kind of classic for the rock star vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why drugs and alcohol become such a big thing with musicians.
Yeah.
Because when you get off stage in front of so many thousands of people, the adrenaline is the real drug.
Yes.
And then to just be told to just lay down, go to bed, and do it again tomorrow. You can't just lay down and go to sleep.
Right.
Doesn't matter it doesn't matter how sober you are. It's hard to just, I don't know. It's hard to come off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are plenty of people that do it, but it's cool, man. Here's the thing. This is what I started. I touched on it earlier whenever we were talking off of this recording. I'm starting to try to utilize my position I want to use it to push what we do, what we're doing with the show.
Yeah.
So I want to use it. So we have lines outside of our shows, right? And they're waiting for the doors to open. Just line people. And what I want to start doing, and I haven't done it, and I've been talking about it for a long time, is walking the lines and just saying hi. Not that anybody cares about the bass player. The bass player is just the bass player, right?
Which is
but honestly, it doesn't matter, people.
Which is honestly a cool position to be in a little bit. I mean, it's something I get to enjoy by being an anonymous podcaster, which is like, nobody really cares that much where I'm going and what I'm doing, or if I'm talking to them. They just wouldn't even know. I feel like I would enjoy the bassist position as well. There's a little bit less pressure, maybe. I don't know.
1000%. Actually, I love playing bass. I play keys. I play guitar. I do very little singing, but my favorite, I think, as far as when it comes to pressure wise, give me bass.
Yeah, buddy. Yes.
I kind of sit back in the shadows and just keep the easy groove going.
Just keep it. Hey, couldn't do it without you. Got to keep it moving. All right. You're going to go walk the line. Sorry, I interrupted.
Walk the line?
Yeah, you said you're going to go walk the line, meet people?
Oh, Anyway, yeah. So one of the things, like sometimes I wear shirts that are they make you ask questions. I have a shirt that says "Not today, Satan." It's actually a pretty cool shirt. It's got another shirt that's got like a stamp of Jesus' face that says "BRB." And then, like I was telling you earlier, I wanted to make a shirt. I know it's not on. I don't have a Canary Cry shirt yet because I kind of new to the supply drop and the T-shirt council and all that stuff. So I don't have a Canary Cry shirt yet. But even when the Canary Cry shirts come around, they're not exactly, hey, this is what you should look at this shirt. So what I wanted to do was make a shirt with just like I like the seal idea, the eagle or the canary.
Yeah.
And then have the Canary Cry Party underneath it. So it's very obvious. This is where you should go, Canary Cry Party, but then walk the lines. And, maybe somebody asks about it or they don't, but most of the time people are going to ask about it and I'll tell them what it is. And that's one of the things that I feel like I'd be doing what I'm supposed to do.
Bro. That is so sick. It's cool that I love your whole thing, man. The thing I'm supposed to do is wear a t-shirt is like kind of a funny thing to say. Like this is what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, wearing this t-shirt. But because it's you and because of your situation, like it's such a profound act that could have such a profound impact, not just on the show, because that would be rad. I mean, if people find us through your t-shirt, definitely send us an email. That's great. And of course, that is, has the potential to make an incredible impact on the show. But also, man, somebody finds the show because they see you wearing the shirt. What a fork in the road in their life. There's pre-Canary Cry life, and then there's post-Canary Cry life. And hopefully the post is better. But yeah, that has a potential to make a pretty profound impact on any one individual's situation.
I mean, that's a good way to explain my life. There's pre-Canary Cry and post-Canary Cry, no doubt.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
So, this guy, I want to talk about you being a rock star a little bit more. Is that okay?
Fine, let's get it.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's something that a lot of people, I think, would find a lot of value in the insights that you can bring. You mentioned the highs and the lows, and it's always good to remember that that our rock stars are actually people dealing with people stuff. I was literally just thinking about this. I don't know why. I don't listen to this band, but I was thinking about the band Fish yesterday. And the fact that bands like Fish or the Rolling Stones, I mean, come on, they're still going. They're like 70, 80 years old. And they're still doing these tours, still playing the same songs, doing the same thing. I wondered yesterday if that could ever get monotonous, or what the feeling about that would that be. Because one could say, yeah, I do the same podcast 3 times a week, and I've been doing it for years. Well, does it ever get old doing the same podcast? Like, yeah, it's a little different than playing songs, playing the songs on repeat. I think there's I need you to give me the reality of this situation, because I hope one thing, but I wonder another thing.
I think you're gonna like what I say. I love doing it. Even if we play the same songs all the time, which we don't, we try to change up our set. But when I see people crying, like in the front row, like on the verge of passing out because they're emotionally overwhelmed, and whenever we stop one of our bigger songs to let the crowd sing and the entire audience is singing back to us, whenever I hop off the stage and go sign some autographs and give some kids some pics or whatever, and I just see the appreciation No, there's no part of it that gets old. Um, no part of it that gets old. And no, it's gratifying for sure. And that's what, like, one of the reasons that I don't want to, because it's kind of selfishly gratifying. And I want to make it not selfishly gratifying, which means that's me trying to continue to do work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no, it doesn't get old. I love it, every minute of it. And it's funny because I'll be I go through moods. I get in a really bad mood, or I can be like physically ill or tired or something, and then feel like I can't do the show well or do my job to the best of my ability. And I'll get up there on stage and all of a sudden it goes away.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Rolling Stones. We actually opened for the Rolling Stones.
No way. When did you open for the Rolling Stones?
I think 2019.
Wow.
We played with them at Soldier Field. Got to meet them. It was very, very, very cool experience.
That's incredible. My goodness. Man, the Lord has put you in some interesting places, man. Right?
It was crazy, man. I hope none of the band members of the Stones listen to this podcast. Actually, no, I hope they do. But it was wild. We got to meet them for a split second, take a picture with them, shake hands and say hi. And it was crazy looking into their eyes. Like, I think Mick had just gotten out of heart surgery. And he came in, like, we thought the show was going to cancel, but he came in, checked it out. And there's obviously something that keeps these men going.
Yeah.
Men or women, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But it's crazy, man. I looked into Keith Richards' eyes and a picture. I'll send it to you. We got a picture with him. When I met Keith Richards, I shook his hand and looked into his eyes, and he had that weird, like, that stare that just went on for 1,000 miles.
Wow.
But yeah, that's
incredible.
I didn't mean to derail.
No, that's incredible.
Yeah, you
man.
said Rolling Stones. I had to remember.
No, that's so sweet.
And that's weird. Nobody knew who we were. So they like the Stones. Nobody knew who we were at the Stones show.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some people did. Actually, no, that's not true, because we definitely saw some of our shirts in the crowd. But it was this thing that, like, I think some of Mick's guys came out too. We played Stagecoach out in California, which is the same place Coachella takes place, but it's more like the country music festival side of it. And Mick Jagger's, like, people came out there and filmed our set and said, "Man, we set up with those guys before." So it wasn't about our ticket sales or how popular we were. Mick saw us and wanted us on the show. So that was cool. But even in that moment, I'm out on stage panicking because I've never been in a football arena at that point, playing to a half empty crowd, which is still like 50,000 people, and can't hear. It sounds awful. I know you play music. I don't know how many live shows you've done.
Yeah.
But the bigger the venue, the harder it is to hear.
Right.
To the point where you need, professional, you need a crew, you need monitor engineers and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm sorry. I derailed and I forgot where I was going.
That's incredible, man. I mean, especially because, I knew you before you opened up for the Stones, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. Had you on the show 2 years beforehand. I knew what I think back to your original episode, and I don't know, there's going to be a fair amount of people who have listened to the episode. I know we both now have mixed feelings about encouraging people to go listen to that. They'll certainly have some background on stuff if they did, but we'll leave that up to the Lord to lead. But considering your last episode, you were still working in the sign shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were working a more or less regular job, just kind of living your life, more or less a regular life, with a couple of exceptions. And then here we are a few years later, and you're telling stories about how you opened up for the Rolling Stones. That is, that's something else, man. That's a fun way to come back on the show. Now, look, people, you don't need to feel that you need to, have such an extravagant story to tell when you come back on the show, if any previous guests indeed do come back. But it's a cool, I can't believe I would have even thought about not doing another episode with you after the first one, and gotten to experience not just the growth in you as a dude and as a man of God and as an adult now, but also a guy, one of the few human beings on Earth who actually get to accomplish the dream that is held by so many, and not only accomplish the dream, become a professional musician, become a rock star, but to actually get to a level where you are hobnobbing, is that a word? Fraternizing? Yeah, taking selfies with the sort of unbelievably mythical figures that are Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. If you had asked me before, this is what I'm getting out of it. If you had asked me 15 minutes ago if I thought Keith Richards and Mick Jagger were actually real extant human beings, I'm not sure I would have given you a confident yes. There's always a slight chance that they are just a sort of creation of the industry. And now we got, deep fakes, and were they ever really real? I don't know. Who knows? There's no way to prove it. There's no way to prove to me that Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are real. But, I trust you, so I'm going to take your word for that.
I shook their hands. I don't know how far they've come with robots these days, but
yeah,
they're real.
I was going to say, you've probably got the kind of that classic old man hand feel, but they're rock stars. They definitely have more grip strength than your average 80-year-old.
Yeah. I was going to say, I've got your classic old man hands too. Mine are falling apart. Probably just been playing music too long.
Well, goodness gracious. Well, that's a pretty cool story. My goodness. All right. What else? I feel very grateful to get this chance to hear about your story about meeting Mick Jagger. I'm having a hard time of thinking up another impactful question that would teach me anything about being a rock star more than what you've already taught me. What's your message to the kids, Sir Jamey?
Man, that's too much pressure, bro. Don't listen to Jamey. That's my message.
That's probably good advice. I should start giving that, sometimes I'll try to tell the kids listening to the show that they should choose certain careers or not choose certain careers. And of course, these kids are smart. They know Uncle Bass is just messing around.
When I was earlier when I was talking about highs and lows, that's one of the high moments, another high moment. And I promise you, it's going to sound like I'm bragging. And that's not what
I love.
Hopefully
it,
everybody understands.
You're very modest, but honestly, I love it.
I'm not trying to brag about say this, but another high moment was we did the show Yellowstone. We were on the first season,
the television show.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So Taylor Sheridan is a he's a fan of ours, and he brought us out. I think we were the first band to appear on the show, and we were in one of the first few episodes. I'm not sure which one it was, but we were there. We went and shot the scene in this bar, and it took all day. And the show itself was.
Oh, is that your pancreas?
Yeah, it's my pancreas. The show itself, or that scene. Yeah. It was only a couple minutes long, but we shot that thing for like 14 hours that day. It was a really cool experience. I got to meet, some of the actors in the show, and it was just a fun day of kind of hanging around. But it was very intense. You kind of got to see how Hollywood works behind the scene. But that was it was a big deal. It was a big but a big boost in our career.
Big moment, yeah.
And, those are high moments, playing with the Rolling Stones. And, we toured Europe in 2018 or 19, and I played to 120,000 people, which I've never had vertigo set in. When you look out across that many people, you don't even see people anymore. It's just a wave.
Yeah, just a mass.
And those are really high moments. But then, this actual industry, I mean, life in general doesn't matter. There's always highs and lows, but this industry, the lows are pretty bad too, because, if you don't know what you're doing, you'll get taken advantage of really quickly. And sometimes you give up things that if you're smarter, you didn't have to give up, or whatever the case may be. I think my personality, I don't have any regrets. I used to be really mad and bitter about it, but I kind of stepped back and just recently decided, hey man, I did what I did, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and no regrets on any of it.
Yeah. Amen, man.
But it's not all glitz and glamour. Like, it sounds cool. I've got a lot of free time. I finally made enough money to like build my own little tiny home here, and have some freedom. But there's also like, I still struggle with a lot of things that like I feel taken advantage of, or, it's not the band. It's not the band at all. It's really just the industry. I love the band. We're actually all really good friends. I'm one of the 2 designated prayer guys. We're all pretty much believers. So they're down. You met a couple of them.
Yeah, well, that was a cool thing. One of the times we hung out, I got to come see a show, which was super rad. And all the dudes in the band, they seemed like pretty good guys. Like, they were really nice and cool to me. And I don't remember if any of them listened to the show or not, but they were, they seemed to get it. They seemed to get what was going on.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think you talked to our singer for a little while. He definitely listened to the show, and I got him to watch a bunch of it. Him and I talk more about the ins and outs, like the stuff that most people don't talk about, being a believer, but also believing in all the weird, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And he was the first one I definitely shared you guys with, and yeah, he's down.
That's so cool.
And they're all down to a certain degree, but everybody's so busy that it's hard to commit to anything new these days.
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing about it when you get to the level that you're at, and at the age that you're at. Because I've been in bands, and I've participated in a certain level of, trying to make a career of it. But especially but that was when I was much younger, when we were all just kids and didn't really have anything going on. But you're a bunch of grown men with lives and stuff going on. Your bandmates have kids and stuff. And so the idea of, when I was 20-something in a band, it was like, this is us. We're never leaving each other's sides. We are each other's lives. This is it. It's us, boys. Let's go. But, I'm imagining at your level, like, everybody is living entirely separate lives other than their job. Is it like that or no?
Yes, to a certain degree. It became that way much more whenever everybody starts getting married, having kids, for sure.
Yeah.
I learned that even if you're not in a band. I learned that with my best friends, who I'll still call my best friends to this day. You just do not have as much interaction with them when they have children. That's normal. That's life.
Right.
That being said, when we get together, we're really close. We're good friends.
Yeah. I guess that's right.
And when we're on the road, and if we have days off and we're traveling, we'll go play golf together. We'll go out to eat together. We're still friends.
Yeah.
But our off days are more. My life's wildly different because I don't have a family,
right.
And got a lot of free time. Whereas, they're taking care of their stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking care of my stuff. I'm taking care of my golf sport. Which is ridiculous. I hated
pancreas.
I hated golf growing up, and I just started falling. I don't know why I fell in love with it recently. It's a cool thing.
That's I'm definitely going to make you talk about golf here in a second, because that is a mystery to me. Yeah, but to respond to what you said, I guess that makes total sense. It doesn't matter what a group of dudes are doing together. It's no matter what job we're talking about, whether it's a band or something. Yes, I guess the growing, not necessarily growing apart, but growing your own stuff going on is going to be sort of the natural way things go. And then when you come back together, that's when the boys are back together, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
You mentioned.
Yeah, it makes the most sense whenever like you get back together with those people and it seems like no time has ever passed.
Yeah.
So that's how you know they're your friends.
Man, love a good group of homies, dude. That's there's nothing better. So you mentioned, and feel free to divert any part of this conversation that you'd like, but you mentioned not really having a plan to take the medical interventions to have kids. Of course, feelings can change at any moment, so I'm not holding you to anything. But what about finding a wife, a girlfriend? Is this something that is of interest, or whatever? I don't know, a robot, perhaps? Could I interest you in a robot?
Oh man, no, I actually, it's funny because I've always been a very solo individual. I'm a loving person. Every relationship I've had in the past, I'm friends with all of them. Nothing bad happened. I'm just not the boyfriend material, and I don't know what it is. That being said, I do have a girlfriend now.
Oh, hello.
She's actually just somebody that, different than all the others that, I don't know. I can't explain it.
You did it. You found it. You found the different one.
I because I fought tooth and nail to not.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I found the one. I don't know. I'm say the one, but somebody that I actually I respect. I look up to. She can change here's my thing. Most of the time you can't change my mind. I'm very stubborn. And she can convince me otherwise, not in various way, but because I was wrong.
It sounds like whatever. Partially because she's earned your respect. She sounds like
that's
that's
it. I respect her. She's got her own job. She has her own business along with her own job and her own friends, her own hobbies, and all that stuff. And yet, for some reason, wants to spend time with me. We enjoy our time together.
Well, I'm very happy to hear
and it's not
that.
all the time either. We live hours apart, but it's with my freedom and stuff, it's not a big deal.
Hey man,
I still even though she's my girlfriend, we don't necessarily want to be around each other every day of the week.
I think that is the correct way to do it. And people fight me on this. I think making it an obstacle to like spend time together and not making it the default, the default is not free time is always together. You really got to work for it. That way you appreciate it more. You value it when you are together. And then, you really got to stay on each other's respectful sides because it's a long drive. And you don't want to drive hours to see somebody who ain't acting right. Well,
yeah.
Good for you, man. I'm very happy to hear that. I can't for the life of me remember if we talked about that last time. I think we did. I think we talked about the ladies in the last episode, if I remember.
Probably. I was living with my girlfriend at the time whenever we talked. So.
Sounds like something we would have talked about. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. Look at you. Our boy's growing up, folks. Sir Jamey.
Somewhat. I'm still a child.
Well, I mean, come on. Look who you're talking to here. So, I mean, life, you're making it sound like you don't have much of a life going on, buddy, but it sounds very rich and fulfilling.
Man, no, I don't know. Maybe I'm too humble
Yeah.
But no, my life, I feel like it's coming along. And honestly, I hate to keep going back to this. I know we don't stay on it, but like the last time I saw you, I told you I quit listening to the show.
Yeah.
And had nothing to do with the show. It was my own headspace. And since I had come back, and especially since I started tithing and all this stuff, like this is my new church. And this is the other day, just prime example. The other day is like a week ago or so. We were doing rehearsals for the new set and everything. And I was bumming out for a lot of different reasons and have a bad day. And I've been going through these, I'll get, every month I'll go through these downtimes where it's like, I probably should be diagnosed with something. I'm not going to worry about that. And then I just put on an episode because I was a week behind of the shows. Put on an episode and immediately came out of it. Like immediately.
Oh.
So even though I'm not actually interacting with our quote unquote church, it is church to me, which is why I do want to push the issue of having like a meetup.
Yes.
Especially down here where I live.
Yes. Well, there's a bunch of Canarians in Texas for sure. Now, Texas is a big place. I understand that. That's very cool. I mean, I like that a lot. I often, well, Gons and I both kind of often struggle with the idea that like, I don't know, are we doing too much? Are we making too much show? I mean, 3 times a week is kind of a lot. Now this year we're kind of playing around with that format because, we occasionally will get notes from people, and I actually really value these notes. I mean, it shows like that they really care. And somebody will send us notes, say, hey, haven't listened for a long time, just wanted to let you know. And I'm like, yo, good. Please take what you need. You will always be welcome back. You can always come back. I know there's a lot going on. There's a lot to think about. We try to take a stab at making it not so overwhelming, but that's just kind of the way the world works. But it's always fun to have sort of a prodigal son come back to the show. I mean, and I don't know if you remember this or if anybody listening remembers this. That was pretty much the whole reason that this show started. Why the Joyspiracy Theory started was because it was all the crazy stuff. It was all just very heavy stuff. And, that we had sort of, people had mentioned that and people saying they're taking breaks. And honestly, it can get kind of heavy for us having to do it multiple times a week. And so back then,
I don't know how y'all do it.
Yeah, I'd say, you know what? At this point right now, it's very similar to your experience going on stage, which is like, I got a bad attitude. I'm just not really, maybe I'm not very connected with the news going on that day, or I don't feel like I have anything to say, or I just don't feel like it or whatever. But then the second we go live, I'm like, oh, this is fun. Okay, here we go. All right. See the people in the chat and going through the producers and everything. It's just like once the light goes on, it's a totally different story. So I thank God for whatever inside of me has sort of adjusted my temperament to be able to take so much pleasure from all the pain. But this show, the Joyspiracy Theory, specifically started to give people a break from the spooky stuff going on, which is another hilarious part of stopping the show during COVID. It's like the moment that it was meant for, to give people a second when every second of television, every second of social media, every second of everything was the worst possible sets of circumstances around the world, and you're locked in your house. That is, in theory, when the Joyspiracy Theory should have thrived. But you know what? Time machine's broken.
Y'all are always too far ahead, and maybe it's detrimental at some point.
Oh, it's true. Oh, it has harmed us repeatedly, being too early. We're always right. We're just always too early. So here's the thing. What I'm doing different this time is I'm letting the producers lead. If people want the show, I will do the show. I'm not going to push this show. But if they keep sending emails and eventually, we'll get a V for V thing going with this show, it's all up to the producers, which takes a huge load off my shoulders. But more about you. Did you in your non-list that you made here? So, usually some of the topics that would be covered would be like, supernatural experiences as well, or aliens, or something like that. What else would we cover? Of course, we were always talking about juicing and health. We kind of hit the health thing. So what do you think? I will open it up to anything you had been thinking about, or supernatural, or aliens, or something like that.
I have a supernatural experience story for you.
Yeah, bro, let's go.
Before I forget, because I don't really want to brag on it or nothing, but I got canaries tattooed on my neck.
No way. No way. Yep, I see it. Bro, what? That's
2 of them.
No way. How?
Not necessarily just for the show.
Of course.
But the show is halfway inspired.
And that's okay. Don't worry. I'll edit that part out of the show. Everybody will know that you got Basil and Gons specifically tattooed on your head. and we don't need to disabuse anybody of the notion that that's what that is. Man, that's very cool. What is that?
It started with this right here. Okay. So I designed this. That design right there.
Yeah.
The circle.
Yeah.
So first of all, the dot represent creation, simple and perfect. So the Ouroboros, this is a circle around it.
You're going to want to move your hand towards your wrist side. Go towards your wrist side. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. There it is, right there. Okay,
so the dot represents creation, simple and perfect. The circle is the Ouroboros, eating its own tail, I guess, our sin.
Yeah.
The line through it is our salvation, and the line going here is our freedom to choose. So that is whenever people ask me about my tattoos, this is my Christian story.
Yeah.
This represents God, and here's the North. There's all the other stories that have to follow it. Leading up to the canary, it goes all the way up my arm, and the canaries are on my neck.
The illustrated man is here.
I went down that.
Why
I went down that route. I wanted to get it out of the way before I forgot.
I love it, man.
But that's when people ask me about tattoos. It's how my faith gets brought into everything, and then eventually it leads to talking about the show. But that's it. That's all I had to say about that.
Dude.
I'll tell you about the supernatural experience as soon as I grab my sensor, which I'm going to replace as I'm telling you about it.
I love it. I love it. Cyborg man.
Yeah.
Old Sir Jamey, not the cyborg, switching out his bleep bloop robot bits on the show.
Do I need to change my name to not the cyborg?
You'll have to take it up with the peerage committee, but you pray about it. You pray about it.
It was funny when you
let the Lord lead.
It's funny you're asking me about what I wanted my name to be. It's like, I don't know. I'm not clever enough to think of anything. I was like, just Sir Jamey. And then I was like, wait a minute. I've seen Game of Thrones.
No, I think it's a good reminder. We didn't want anybody to get confused. Sir Jamey, not the Lannister.
Not the Lannister. Anyway, so check this out. All right, during COVID, I was going through a very dark time of probably alcohol abuse mostly. Mm-hmm. I lived with my mom and my grandmother, who I actually live with now, but I now have my own tiny home in the backyard. But at the time I was living in the house. And me and my mom, as you know, if you listened to the last show, speaking to everybody else, I know you did because you were there. Me and my mom are very close, and she's kind of been my spiritual guidance, if you will, over all these years.
Yeah.
And we were hanging out one night, and I was at the time pretty far away from God, and I wasn't listening to this show, and I wasn't reading the Bible, and I wasn't praying or doing anything. And I was just drinking and not doing a whole lot. And my mom and I were hanging out. I'm going to stop doing this because I can't do two things at once. My mom and I were hanging out and jamming. She likes to sing and I like to play guitar. And we're hanging in this house. We're next door to us. Nobody had lived in. And for a long time, no lights were ever on. And this light came on. We were in my room. I was playing guitar. She was singing. This light came on the house. It was one of those static lights, like a floodlight on the corner of the house, you know. And that light had never been on. No lights had been on in the house in a couple of years at least. And this light came on, which threw us off. I was like, whoa, somebody just show up. And this is pretty late at night. And didn't think too much about it. But then as I was watching it, the light started to move, which I know it's going to sound like I was on some drugs and I was like hallucinating, but I wasn't hallucinating. And I wasn't on like drugs. I was just drinking. And the light started to move, like it was static and then it started to move, which those lights don't move. And my mom saw it. It wasn't just me. My mom was there. She saw it. And I got an uneasy feeling about it immediately. I was like, I don't like this. This is unnatural because the lights don't move. Light doesn't move that way. She's like, I'm going to go outside and look at it. And she went outside. I begged her not to. And the light stopped to move like that. And I was yelling at her through the window. I said, hey, come back. I don't like this. It doesn't feel right. And as I was yelling at her, I looked over back where the light was shining and I started seeing like these little shadow figures bouncing between the trees and the bushes.
Oh no. Nope.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Right. And it was very much so. In our last time when we talked about my paranormal encounters and experiences, I was telling you about how I used to practice astral projection and leaving my body and stuff. And I quit doing that because I would leave and I would see like dark figures.
Yeah.
And the more I would do it, they would get closer and bigger and more scary. And I basically said no more of that. But this time I wasn't doing anything. I was wide awake playing guitar with my mother. And this happened. This is the first time and only time I've ever like experienced something in my waking moments of something paranormal. And it was these little shadow figures, and I didn't feel threatened as far as like I didn't feel like they were going to do anything to me, but it was very mischievous. It was almost like they were making fun of me.
Right.
And she didn't see that part of it. She just saw the weird light and nothing ever. She didn't see anything else, but I saw all that. And very quickly, I told them to get out of here in the name of Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
And they went away and never came back. But it's kind of funny because to this day, people still give me a hard time about. I've got a very staunch about not liking gnomes, and you know, it's weird, but I mean, it's one of those things. So before all this happened, and maybe it's part of my brain that fabricated all this stuff, but before all this happened, I got really into watching videos of like supposed fairy folk, or there's so many different names across all these different cultures of what they're called, you know, duende and pukwudgies and the fae and all this stuff. But I mean, they're real. It's a real thing to me. I mean, I can't convince me otherwise. It's just like any other entity that's out there messing with people. And that was like, I had a real life encounter with them during COVID lockdown. And I feel like that was because of my spiritual distance from God and how I wasn't probably doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I was drinking too much, and I don't know. I mean, it was a very real encounter that I harbor to this day. And I still say, keep those things away from me.
Yeah, bro. Well, you know, it's so interesting. I mean, of course, through the work of Dr. Michael Heiser, it's sort of opened up, the reality of spiritual entities a little bit more to a broader sort of audience. And of course, things like gnomes and leprechauns and fairies and little mischievous little guys. That's been all around the world forever. But the Christian, of course, perspective is demons, which, look, sounds pretty demonic. I mean, that's that. You look at the actual what do they call it? I don't know, native descriptions of things like fairies and leprechauns and gnomes. They seem like little demons. They're never like nice. They're every single one on that list is some sort of harmful, mischievous creature, and not fun mischievous. Mischievous like they steal your children and, you know, turn your dog into, I don't know, a different dog or something. So, I mean,
that's definitely what I mean. That's the one word I could use to describe what I experienced was mischievous.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't feel like I was going to be attacked or anything, but I just felt like they were messing with me and laughing at me. And it was very much like a.
Yeah. It's always the question, like, for a believer, there's always this question, like, if you are, I don't know how else to say it. If you're being good, does that mean that you have more experiences with evil, or do you have less experiences with evil? Like, if you're walking the path you feel you're supposed to walk, if you are, you know, drawing close to God, there's two different like mindsets. One is you will become a target for the adversary and have, you know, negative spiritual things coming at you, or you're protected because you're doing everything right, and you won't have experiences with bad spiritual beings. And again, it kind of goes to the problem of the sovereignty of God, which means we think that we have way more control over what happens in our lives based on our behavior, such as our obedience or our piousness or whatever. But in the end, if something's going on, the sovereignty of God rules all. These little guys are not sort of working outside of God's sovereignty, which means all of these spiritual experiences are what God wants you to experience. And look, yeah, maybe, you know, quarantine was hard and you're hitting the bottle a little bit more and it was keeping you from writing your songs or whatever. And, you know, maybe you just need a little mischievous reminder once in a while. I don't know. But, you know, this is not the opportunity. I mean, we all know the sort of Christian mindset that would be like, oh, it's because you were being a bad boy. It's because you were a bad boy, Jamey. And that's how they got to you.
Yeah, it wasn't punishment for doing what I was doing.
Right.
It was just a reminder, like you said, it was a reminder of, hey, you're getting a little bit off track here. I mean, I'm just going to let this happen. This is kind of the way I took it.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't, you know, I'm always protected.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you know, God will use whatever he needs to bring you back, you know.
That's what I mean. Any experience that causes you to call on the name of Jesus, that's a pretty good, like, there you go. That's anything that has me calling on the name of Jesus, you know, that's a win in my book, even if it's not so fun. Did these little gnomes have a form? Did you see like a form?
No, it was very much just a shadow.
Had you seen these? Had you seen these little guys before?
No.
Ooh.
No, I've never seen anything like in my waking state.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything. Never seen a ghost or a UFO or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like something that I knew that I wasn't hallucinating. It felt very off. I knew before I saw anything that something wasn't right. You know what I mean?
So what was the light? So when you say a light was moving around out there, was it like a flashlight or like an orb?
No, the light. I mean, it's literally it's a light that's on the house. It's the light that's on the corner of a house.
Like a floodlight. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a floodlight, and they don't move. It's very static. So the light was shining, which it turned on and just shined like a normal floodlight, which, blew us away first off because that light had never been on.
Whoa.
And it's right outside my window. So like I knew that light had never been on.
Yeah.
But what was weird as I was looking at the grass that it was shining on, it started waving in this weird, just wind kind of pattern. And that those lights don't do that. It was just this weird thing I couldn't explain.
Weird.
And that was when I knew like something was off. And my mom saw it too. She ran out there to go look at it. I told her to get back inside.
Dude, oh my gosh. I thank God that I have not had any of those kinds of experiences in recent years. I used to have them all the time as a kid. I mean, I'm sure I've talked about it before, but I would describe my supernatural experiences as a kid like as hauntings. Like the weird stuff that was not fun. And I've actually meant to ask my parents about this for a while, because it was in this one house, and and most of it was within this one period of my life. Had a TV in my room, because cool parents. And it was this big, like 29-inch, big, huge square box TV. And the thing, in the middle of the night, would turn on. Not just turn on, it would turn on to static. And not just turn on to static, would turn on to full volume white noise static. Like really loud. And it would wake me straight up from sleep. And as loud as it can be, it hurts my ears, and it's bright, in the room. And, a TV doesn't just... Look, a TV can have like a power button issue and maybe turn on or something. But to change the channel of the TV to pure static and to turn the volume of the TV all the way up to the max. And then I would, after I'm done peeing my bed, I'd take my remote control and try to turn it off, pressing the button on the remote, wouldn't turn off. Then I'd go up to the TV and press the power button on the television, boop, 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 wouldn't turn off. Nothing would control this television. And every time this happened, I would have to unplug it from the wall in the middle of the night to make it stop doing this. And it did this maybe dozens of times. And, it's certainly, there was no real harm that came from it except to like really freak me out in the middle of the night.
Oh, psychological trauma's got to be enough harm.
Yeah, it was wackadoodle, man. And I need to talk to my parents. Mom, Dad, if you're listening to this, remind me. When I was in that house, I remember a little bit later on that I walked up to my door, to my room, and I could tell that my mother or somebody had taken oil and like made a cross and put it in oil to like anoint my room or whatever. And it didn't occur to me until years later. I'm like, wait, was my mom aware of like all these crazy haunting experiences happening? And just like didn't talk to me about it, just, anointed the room or something to try to make it. And then there's this other time, same area, same time of my life. One of the real freaky ones was I couldn't fall asleep. I was filled with this sense of dread, overwhelming sense of dread that I had never felt before. Totally out of control, totally no reason, out of nowhere, no thoughts attached to it, just full sense of dread on September 10th, 2001. And in the middle of the night, I go into my mom's room, and I had nothing to say except for, I'm really scared. I feel really, really scared. And she's like, what? What are you scared of? I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like something's bad. I don't know. And my parents let me sleep in their bed that night because I was that terrified, and literally woke up to 9/11 the next morning. Like,
dude,
I had I mean, that's a little bit of a tough story to tell now, because like, of course you have a 9/11 story. Like, we all have a 9/11 story. Oh, it's pretty convenient that it just happened to happen on September 10th. Like, I mean, that's what happened. I woke up in my parents' bed the morning of September 11th, and they had the TV on and like watching the video feed, waking up to that image, which was its own special kind of millennial trauma that these kids these days just don't understand.
Well, I mean, like you said, that like, it's hard to describe the overwhelming sense of dread.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that comes from somewhere not in our own brains.
Totally.
You know, it's like this. I can't make up this level of scared that I
have.
Yeah. Or go the opposite, this level of love, which if you go back and listen to our first episode, I talk about that. Is where I really truly found God. I felt this undescribable thing, this feeling of love that I have never experienced in my life. Everybody, I'll have to go listen. I don't want people to listen to it, but you got to go listen to it, I guess, to get my story.
I know.
But I do give my testimony of whenever I was, on the verge of suicide and had a miracle healing, all my life changed like crazy.
Yeah.
And it was, these levels, these feelings of, so what you experience, that's a thing. I don't know what its purpose was.
Yeah.
You didn't stop it. So you didn't stop 9/11, but
yeah, I literally have no idea why God would have me experience that, except literally to just tell that story. For whatever that would mean to somebody. I'm sure that somebody else had. And then one last, let me think. There were so many. I mean, things flying across the room, literal objects flying across my room. The shadow people waking up to my bed, just like shaking like there's an earthquake when there was no earthquake.
My gosh.
Total spookadoodle. And one time, this one. Just because there's like a little bit more, I think, viscera to this one. So I woke up in the middle of the night, same thing, similar thing, just scared. Go into my parents' room, wake my mom up, tell her, man, my mom, I don't know how many times I woke her up in the middle of the night because of meaningless nothingness, fright for no reason. But I go in there, I wake her up, she's like, oh, what? I'm like, oh, I'm just scared. And I look down at the moment that I'm telling my mother that I can't sleep and I'm scared, and it was like 1,000 baby spiders were crawling up the front of my shirt. And it was not like there was 1,000 baby spiders. There was 1,000 baby spiders running from the bottom of my shirt, running up towards me. Mom freaks out. She's like hitting me, trying to get the spiders off. Real spiders, not even like spooky ghost spiders. I'm like, what in the world is going on around here? But it just sort of happened so often as a kid that I became quite accustomed to, like, I don't know what other word to call it besides haunting, which really served me well later on in life because now, of course, in that time, I was taught to call on the name of Jesus, and I'm sure there's a dozen times I could tell a story about when it worked. But really, once I started getting into my 20s and, getting interested in weird stuff, that really sort of culminated in more than just bad feelings. Having that experience to call on the name of Jesus was a very important skill set to have mastered by that point. So, God was just making me into a tiny little Ghostbuster, apparently.
Have you heard about that story? I don't know if we talked about it last time or not. There's like these guys, these two quote unquote scientists, if you want to call them that. And they were trying to research the topic of abduction, alien abduction and stuff like that, and everybody's stories. And long story short, because I don't really know what I'm talking about. Long story short, they came out of it going, well, I'm Christian now, because every single one of these people, that the only way they were able to overcome what was happening to them was calling on the name of Jesus.
Yes.
So these two non-believers eventually became believers, because what they were studying literally just led to calling on Jesus, man.
Yeah, totally. I heard of these guys. I have not sort of interacted with them personally, but I've heard of these guys, which is so interesting, because right now, with what we're going through in this country when it comes to UFOs and, the whole extraterrestrial, interdimensional thing going on, coming to light, the slow, what's the word? I don't know, declassification or whatever of the alien mystery in the America, learning with these leaks coming out that like Pentagon officials believe that this is a spiritual evil. Like people.
What?
Yeah. Have you not heard this or seen this? Yes.
I don't think so.
There's a group of high-level Pentagon officials. So there's a lot going on in the Pentagon. There's a lot of people involved in like different aspects, because it's very compartmentalized, all this UFO stuff. There is they had a name. I forgot what their name is for their group. They were like, I don't know. So some group of like 4-star generals or something. I don't have the material right in front of me. It'd be a way more interesting podcast if I did. But there's like a bunch of them, like a group of them, like a gang of them, of 4-star generals and Pentagon officials who it got leaked that they are treating the UFO situation as a spiritual phenomenon, like as demonic. Like literally they're using the words demons, and they're in the government. Now, we don't know exactly how everything is compartmentalized and everything, but apparently these guys are like troublemakers in the Pentagon when it comes to the UFO stuff, because, the Pentagon as a whole is kind of trying to control the message with everything, kind of control the leaks, control the information in the public, kind of try to keep the narrative on track. And there's these Pentagon officials that are just like, nope, it's demons. I'm telling you, this is an evil spiritual thing going on. And they're trying to shut them up. They had to get leaked. Who knows? Maybe they leaked it themselves or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's been absolutely fascinating for me, and I've said it 1,000 times, to watch how culture as a whole broadly, I won't say mainstream culture, but like broadly in culture, Christian values, Christian ethics, Christian principles are sort of starting to gain respect in areas that they had not sort of had respect previously. Now, we can get into theology. There's a totally, salvation's a different story. But at least the principles of Christianity are starting to be more appreciated in sort of the online, formerly secular space. And at the same time, the crazy canary cry fringe Christian nonsense talk from 2012, 2013, 2014 is like we're getting leaks from the Pentagon that sort of confirm the theories that we've been exploring for over a decade now. It is tripping me out, bro. Always right,
Pioneers.
Always too early.
Pioneers. Well, I mean, you did see Mini's there at Goats, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
what do you get?
That's the kind of. I mean, it's there. They've already said, yeah, we actually have I don't know how accurate that movie is, but they have. I mean, I think it's a known thing. They have a division dedicated to the paranormal.
Oh yeah.
Spies, astral projecting, and being able to manifest yourself through
Operation
a wall.
Stargate. Was that Stargate or was that something else? Yeah, dude. I mean, the CIA documents on, I think it was Operation Stargate. I, again, don't have the material in front of me. Sorry, folks. Just like literally saying, like, yes, here's how we in the CIA discovered and have repeated the ability to leave our bodies and fly around the astral realm to spy on the Soviets. And, it's this.
Yeah.
And, people got stuff going on, man. It's funny because back when it was crazy fringe conspiracy theory stuff, it was more fun. It's not so much fun when the world is actively ending and people cannot pay any attention to CIA astral projection programs because we got bills to pay. But
dude,
it's the perfect plan.
I highly agree with you. I don't want to see. I've experienced my fair share of all that stuff, and I'm done. I just want to live
yep.
on this side of the veil until it's time to see the other side. I'm so over paranormal experiences and crazy stuff. I just want to work.
Did we talk about this last time? I don't know if we talked about this last time, but thank you, because that is what I say every time I get into telling these stories. Again, I could go on. These stories went on well into my 20s, well into when I was even doing the podcast. Like the just the absolute insanity of the supernatural experiences and the regularity. There was a point. There was one last, and I'll tell this story because this was the last one that happened, and it'll fit in with what you're saying here. Again, I was 20, I don't even know, early 20s, well into my 20s. And I was taking a nap, and ooh, there's that spooky feeling again. Just came wafting in the door, got the spooky feeling. At this point, I can kind of, I don't know, by this point in my life, like, it wasn't, I could feel the same terror come on. It was the same terror, the same feeling, the same supernatural sort of darkness. But, like, my conscious mind would just be like, here we go again. All right, what is it this time? And this time, in particular, I was sort of halfway between dreaming and awake, and I was taking a nap during the day, and I felt my body raise up off the bed. And I think to myself, that's weird. That's a weird sensation that I'm feeling. It's, maybe if I ignore it, it'll go away. It did not go away. Continued to feel my body lift into the air. Soon I did not feel the bed under me at all. And a couple more seconds went by and I go, it really feels like I'm floating in the air right now. That is a really fascinating one. This is new. Thanks, guys. Just sort of talking to whatever is out there. It's like, okay, all right. Trying to sleep here, fellas. I opened my eyes, and I am inches away from the popcorn ceiling in the room in which I was sleeping. I disappeared from the green screen. This Skype green screen is the worst. Inches away, like I'm looking at the details of, like, super close up to this popcorn textured ceiling. And I go, well, that's a new one. Whoa. And immediately fell like 4 feet, 5 feet onto my bed, wake up bouncing on the bed. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And my eyes are open, and when I kind of get my bearings about me, at the foot of my bed, just the usual, like, 8-foot tall shadow creature guy. Whoa. Just standing and looking at me. And that was the event that I had enough. I was just like, I am done. We are done with this. No, thank you. In the name of Jesus, we are not doing this anymore. And it's never happened since. It was the craziest one, and it's never happened since. Thank God it's been, a decade or something, which is a long time considering my record. A nice long 10 years without some entirely unwanted, and by the end there, entirely uninteresting sort of haunting experience. But I thank God for it. I mean, I'm glad I have sort of that collection of experiences and the experience of, hey, we're just done now. We're not going to do this anymore. Thank you very much.
Well, those experiences, I think, are, God allows to happen to certain people
Totally.
Who need them at whatever time. And I think that, whether they're good or bad experiences, I hope that like everybody eventually gets to experience it. I have a lot of my really good friends who are atheists and stuff. And I fully believe that at some point in this life, hopefully, that they're going to have some kind of spiritual encounter where, be it good or bad, it's going to make them question their belief in this is it.
Yeah. The nature of reality.
I think you're, like that experience and like my last experience, I feel like maybe I'm going to eat my words here and I'm knock on wood. We're almost like untouchable I feel like with our faith, we're calling on Jesus regardless in this point. So you're not going to get me with some kind of demonic attack anymore.
Right.
Cause I've got the ultimate weapon.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of untouchable as far as not saying that I can't be affected the way the devil usually affects everybody that lives. But as far as these insane spiritual encounters go, they're not, if I do encounter them, which I don't want to, I know what I got to do to get away from it. So,
yeah, there comes a point when you experience it so much or so in depth that you can add no more reality juice to what's going on. Like, it might take a few times. Who knows? I mean, I don't know why it happens so much to me or why it happens so much to anybody. But it's funny because I can believe in the spiritual reality no more than I do.
yeah, that's it.
I'm at the top. It's there. There's nothing that could happen to me that would make me aware of spiritual reality any more than I already am. And that's kind of what I feel like the Lord did through that, which is like, yeah, all these spooky experiences. And then it was weird, like getting comfortable with them and like not necessarily freaking out in my heart about it. Still feeling the terror, but like not having it be a reality shattering experience or something. And then just finally getting to the top of just like, done. Thank you. I've gotten everything I can get out of this kind of stuff. It will not change my mind about anything to give me one more of these experiences. Thank you very much.
I'm happy raising emus and petting cats.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to do any of that other stuff.
I just want to hatch my emu babies and do my podcast and call it a day. I don't need anything more.
Which is funny because the position that you put yourself in, you should be ready for all of that because, like you're doing a lot of the work that the devil doesn't want us doing.
True.
And it should be coming, maybe it's not coming in the form of paranormal attacks, but look, sometimes it's hard to get a podcast rolling because the lag or the formats or whatever. And who's to say that those aren't some kind of internet goblins that are,
dude,
really trying to hinder your progress.
Absolutely. Well, and that's been the thing ever since we did the episode with Donnie Darkened. When we got that episode with Donnie Darkened recently, and I really had an encounter with the knowledge of the sovereignty of God during that episode. And I don't know if I really talk about that a lot, but like I am doing this podcast or any podcast, like you're listening to me process stuff in real time. And that is not scripted. That is not you in that episode. You heard me genuinely have an experience with the knowledge of the sovereignty of God. Full sovereignty. Full stop. Full sovereignty. Nothing happens or doesn't happen without the sovereign control of the Lord. That's a difficult that's a difficult concept for humans because we categorize things as good and bad, like good experience is bad. That's how we experience. I'm not saying categorize because it's not there. I'm saying we experience reality as good and bad and sad and happy and, whatever, drunk and sober. We experience these differentiations in reality. But the spiritual truth is full sovereignty, full stop. Nothing happens without the permission of the Lord. And that is one thing that, like an atheist, I already know the arguments that I will be given on this. Even a lot of Christians will give me arguments on full sovereignty. But I came in very close contact with the knowledge of the sovereignty of true sovereignty of God in that episode. A week later, I had the most astounding sort of encounter with the wisdom of the sovereignty of God. And I don't even know how to explain it. But the Lord was there, and I was there, and the mystery that is the sovereignty of God was laid out before me. And all of the human questions and all of the human differentiations and all of the, in our mind, the way we interpret reality, both spiritual and material reality, that was all stripped away. And it was the most, out of all the hauntings, out of all the shadow people, out of all the floating in the air, and of all the little baby spiders, that was the most incredible spiritual experience I'd ever had. I do not have words. I wish I had ways to describe it. But, it was an encounter with spiritual mysteries that actually interested me. And I think that change of taste is such a gift of God.
Yeah.
I feel like
I was gonna say that's a recent thing to happen to you.
It was so recent. This was like 2 weeks ago. It was out of control.
I kind of already gave up on experiencing anything else for the rest of my life because I'm just solid in my ways, and I stubbornly think I don't need anything else. But
totally,
I would kill for another one of those boosts and
dude. Dude, just I get it, man. Like, I don't know. I have no way of giving any advice on this because I was right there with you. Like, good, bad, spiritual stuff. I cannot be any more convinced. I totally get it. Blah, blah, blah. And it might be that attitude that I had that, had the Lord exercise his sovereignty again and give me, it really was an entirely new experience that did not resemble the previous experiences that I thought that I had such a tight grasp on. Yeah, and I wish I could talk about it more. I just really don't know how to do it. So, that's the fun part about guys like you and I, and who have these types of experiences, is it really does develop us in as humans, but not just material humans, spiritual beings made in the image of God. A lot of our experiences really developed us and matured us in a very specific way. And like we feel when we're 16, like we feel again when we're 25, and we feel like we got it all figured out, and we finally understand everything, and we have matured, and we're big boys now. It was kind of one of those. I was literally sort of in a daze for days after that. So I don't want to scare you, Sir Jamey, but I don't know if I want to warn you either. I think it'll be more fun if it just...
It's coming. It's just coming. It's coming.
Just God decides to flex that on
it
you.
Is.
Now that I know it's possible, I am telling you to watch out, because it could happen.
Yeah, it is funny how we think we got it figured out, and then he'll show us real quickly that we don't.
It's so funny. I mean, I think he likes
Um,
it. I think he likes blowing our minds.
that is part of the humor. God's sense of humor is real funny, but it's not funny at the beginning. It's not funny until afterwards. In hindsight, it's funny.
Be not afraid. Be not afraid. It's there's a reason why that's such a common refrain when God comes in the Bible. Yeah, it was. Man, my brain is kind of stuck on processing that again. I gotta save that for later. Goodness gracious, Sir Jamey, we've gone 2.5 hours, man. The viewers watching the video have gotten quite the temporal experience because we watched the sunshine blasting through those windows above you go slowly to dusk and now to complete pitch blackness. So I'd say by at least a temporal metric, we have done a podcast.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I wish I was more prepared, and I hope I didn't sound like a bumbling idiot, but
no, we talked about this, Jamey. It's the sovereignty of God. This podcast is exactly what it had to be. And I think we both sounded less nervous and less incompetent than we did. I'm
going to do myself a favor and not go back and listen to it.
Hey,
I'm just going to trust that it's good.
Trust me, I am not going to be listening to this again. I'm going to pass this sucker off to Gons. He's going to edit it. He's going to say, "You did a great job, Basil. Good job. My faithful partner and talented and beloved co-host, Basil. You did a great job. I couldn't even have imagined somebody doing a podcast any better than this." And then I would say, "Thank you, Gons. That's very nice of you to say." And the rest of the producers and listeners, they're going to love it too. I guarantee it.
Hey, speaking of producers and stuff, I don't know if you want to talk about, we can talk about this later or whatever, but we need to figure out.
We're going. It's going. It's going, and it's
my contribution and challenge to what's going on, which includes everybody that signed up on the last one. So I figured maybe just every week, maybe you could give me a number.
Yeah, you're talking about for canarycry.tube?
Yes.
Yep. We did. I did go ahead and announce that yesterday. Folks, Sir Jamey riding in his shiny armor and his big white horse. There is the, I called it what did I call it? Sir Jamey's Challenge or something. We might let the Lord speak on an even more exciting title for it. But yes, it is an incredible offer that you've made, Sir Jamey. And this is a good opportunity to let everybody know about it. If you haven't heard, we're taking back our streaming sovereignty, folks. We are building out the infrastructure so that we can stream without intervention of the big tech companies, without the permission of YouTube, without the permission of any platform, including the ones who claim to, be absolutist in their devotion to free speech. They might say that now, but the Constitution said that at one point, and that didn't make much of a difference in a lot of cases. So, Sir Jamey is so valiantly and so generously, he's doing a price match, baby. It's the Sir Jamey price match guarantee, which if you go to canarycry.tube, that's a URL, canarycry.tube, put it in your address bar, go there, and you'll see all sorts of options. But the big push is to run the infrastructure that will secure our streaming sovereignty, and not just for us, but we are also on the vanguard of figuring this out, because someday soon, anybody who wants to enjoy free speech and broadcast at the same time, they're going to need to do this. It will be absolutely mandatory that all your favorite, free speech and podcasts take back their sovereignty, because they will not be given a platform. And so we're hoping to pioneer the ability to do this, figure it all out so we can help other broadcasts do the same thing whenever they decide the time is right. And this includes, some monthly costs that will be required to keep it going. Now, we have the best producers in the world. And if you want to join that team of best producers in the world, go to canarycry.tube, sign up for a monthly producership. It can be any price you want. You get to put in your own price with the PayPal thing. The idea is, hey, cancel your Netflix and put whatever you're paying for Netflix, put it towards this as sort of a paradigm shift in how we are, like we mentioned earlier in the episode, Jamey, the flow of finances, we're going to spend the money no matter what. Money's getting spent. And where that money flows from us to has very significant consequences, not just in the real world and what God is wanting to do in the real world, but also spiritual consequences that are sort of innumerable because they're in a different dimension. So if that is something that inspires you, dear listener, and you want to become a part of that, if you sign up for a monthly producership at canarycry.tube, Sir Jamey, not the Lannister, has pledged to do a price match for every monthly producer. You come in, you sign up for $6.99 a month, boom, Sir Jamey puts in $6.99. You sign up for $20 a month, boom, Sir Jamey's there, throwing the cash on the table that gets sucked up right into the machine that is called building this infrastructure. And my goodness, Sir Jamey, you've been such a big supporter over all the years. Oh yeah, by the way, and when you sign up as a monthly producer over at canarycry.tube, you'll be put in the Age of Deceit 4, the film that Gons is working on now, Age of Deceit 4 focus group, which means you will see it before anybody, and you will put your experience, your wisdom, your research, your maybe even decade or more of paying attention to the weird stuff we talk about on Canary Cry. You can put all that to work to help perfect Age of Deceit 4. And it's a big deal. And Gons is hugely relieved that people are getting involved in this. So if you want to give Gons just a moment, a brief moment of respite and calm in his life, go sign up at canarycry.tube. I think I might know this, Sir Jamey, but it's such a generous offer that you're doing. And, you've mentioned this is what you want to do. This is what you feel called to do. People have heard me now pitch your Sir Jamey challenge twice. And I think it's a good opportunity if you had anything you wanted to say, if there was any inspiration from the Sir Jamey himself.
Honestly, no, because I think y'all are doing the reason I want y'all to keep going is because y'all do what I can't do, which is spread the good word, honestly, in a way that's easily digestible to a lot of people. But mostly, I want to see if you got your head above water and if y'all could actually follow through with creating your own platform and managing it, because that sounds very chaotic, and I would be interested to see what kind of headache comes y'all's way.
That's good. That's so real. That is so real, Sir Jamey. Thank you for that. Yeah, and just to take a moment and talk about what that plan actually looks like. Because yes, we've had lots of crazy ideas over the years. Luckily, we have not burned a whole lot of fundraising goodwill over too many of these types of things, which we, want to be very careful about. But this one became obvious that it was absolutely mandatory, or we will disappear. Our time is limited, no matter what. And so it will come in phases. This is good. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to say this, because usually I'm just having to zoom through this pitch and I don't get to talk all about it. So it's happening in phases. And these phases kind of correspond with the phases of development. So number one, we'll call phase one, is sort of this fundraising thing, setting up the monthly sort of financial commitment that it will take to do, but gathering the producers who are on board. Because with these kinds of projects, sometimes the biggest problem isn't the money and the biggest problem isn't the tech. Sometimes the biggest problem is adoption. And, having the producers come together in a big group and say, like, here we go, let's go. And that's one of the benefits of the Age of Deceit 4 focus group, is really it's going to be creating a family of, Canary Cry producers who are all aligned on the mission. We're going to get them all in one place, and we're going to get them all working on Age of Deceit 4. It's really a cool opportunity. Look, I pitch it all the time. I could tell you it's a cool opportunity, but really think about it, producer thinking here. Gons is humble, but he is a pretty famous documentary maker. I can say this. He would hate it if I'm saying this, but Gons is a sort of a legend in kind of the YouTube 1.0 fringe documentary space. And we all know this. And it seems like a really, really cool opportunity, especially if you were in the scene back then, if you watched Age of Deceit 1 on Gons' YouTube channel, if you followed Age of Deceit 1 through 3, and, which honestly, I put Age of Deceit 1 through 3 as sort of mile markers for the entire internet movement of fringe Christianity. Each one sort of, and he doesn't really realize this, but if you take those films and you place them in history where they came out, they very clearly delineate some massive paradigm shifts in understanding of sort of fringy Christians like us. So it's a very important set of work that he's done. And for me, I feel lucky as his friend and his partner to be involved in whatever way I can be involved. I feel like I get to be a part of whatever sort of history we're all making together as this community online. Not just the Canary Cry community, but like the entire fringe Christian sort of ethos. It's not a huge group, but it is growing fast. And to know that we're coming up on another sort of epoch of that history is very powerful for me to comprehend. And to know that I get to be involved in that is, I'm very grateful to God for. But how much cooler is it that, and how much more relevant is it that it's not just Gons making a film and me prodding him about it, but how much more important is it to sort of invite people who have been in the scene as long as we have. Maybe you're not a podcaster, maybe you're not a YouTuber, maybe you're not a whatever, maybe you're not an author, whatever, but you've been in this scene for as long as we have, a decade or more, a lot of you, some of you a lot longer. And this is an opportunity to gather God's people, to gather this very special breed of person to participate in this sort of epochal shift mile marker that is the next Age of Deceit film. And so the hope is to gather as many of you as possible to align both spiritually and in prayer, but also physically and digitally in activating many of your long history in the scene, and including that in the process of making the film. It only makes sense. It almost seems like a crime to not let the real ones in on becoming a part of this film. So that's very cool. It's also cool. You'll be credited. Your name will be on the end of it. Your ideas will be taken into account. Your, You'll have chances to make comments. You'll be rating the things. You'll be giving Gons real data that he will take back to the editing room to improve and polish it off. But also, if somebody out there has like a crazy theory that none of us have thought of, and it all comes together and makes sense and fits into the movie, like it's going in, and it can only happen if people are involved. So that's kind of phase one. Is this like gathering of people, gathering of minds, really solidifying the family of, what it is taking to build the infrastructure. Then phase two will come, and it is will be a minimally viable product. We are looking into an app. We're trying to figure out if we're going to do an app form or whatever, a browser-based thing or just a website. And that's the easy part. That stuff is nothing. That's just easy peasy, one and done. The difficult part is utilizing all of the sort of technological paradigm shifts that exist for us now. Decentralization, holding our own servers, having our own, holding our own videos physically in a location that do not depend on an intermediary. If you upload your video to YouTube, YouTube can do whatever they want with it. It's on their servers, and if the building burns down, then it's gone or whatever. It's not yours once it's on YouTube servers. So it's a matter of getting our own hardware to hold that and not just integrate it into centralized internet, because centralized internet is still at risk. And I'm not going to get into the deep tech specs of everything, but what we're talking about is decentralized video hosting on our own machines, which guarantees the ability that they are censorship proof. Now, the key to that will be easy access. And it's that access that will probably be an app. It might start as a web page and then develop it into an app. These are all things that happen in phases. This is why Silicon Valley is what it is. This is why previously it takes $10 million to make something like this. But we are at a very special place in history where the cost of putting something together, specifically small for us, we are not planning to host other people's videos right now. And we wouldn't want to, because that would put us in control of other people's videos. But what we do want to do is build it, figure it out. We're going to make the mistakes. We're going to fix those mistakes. We're going to figure it out so that we can help other free speechers develop it for themselves. And that's really the future that we want to work towards, is not just that you can always stream us, but any creator out there doing God's work, telling the truth, fighting the power, whatever it is, that they can then do what we've done. And then, phase 3 is, Dogecoin or something. You get the point. Now, yeah, phase 3 is sort of the perfected combination of the other two phases put together in an easy access type of way. And so that's kind of the broader plan. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about that, Jamey. Does that make sense to you? Does that shed any light on it for you?
Yes. You have to simplify it way more for me, but you did that the other day on the phone. So I know what's going on.
Okay,
and
good.
What I didn't understand initially was that what you guys are really looking for is monthly subscribership.
Yes. Yes. And that's the canarycry.tube thing. And a lot of this, for the fundraising part of it, the monthly producership truly is the most important thing, because we are in this for the long haul. And, if that's kind of our thing, like if somebody doesn't feel like they have an extra $6, I mean, for me, it's an easy choice to cancel Netflix and put it towards something that is revolutionary like that. But that's just me. And I'm a weirdo. But yes, it's that monthly producership. Every tiny amount helps. That's why you can you pick your own choice over at canarycry.tube. It's and that's why Sir Jamey incentivizing this. When you come in, you support, you join monthly, you get in the family, you get lined up, your immediately your financial support is doubled right off the bat. Boom. And that's going to help us reach this milestone goal. Pretty much overnight. We've done it. We've depending on how people respond. We've gotten to about, I didn't actually check today, but I'll try to quietly check while I do this. The canarycry.tube has been out for 1 month, almost 1 month on the dot. And as of yesterday, we were 45% complete with the goal, which is really impressive. Honestly, I'm very impressed. It's really nerve-wracking to make a public goal like that, especially with something that's a little bit hard for people maybe to understand or like really get all the details to. So I'm just incredibly humbled that we've made it this far in already. And we currently are sitting at 47% of the goal. 47%. So yeah, Jamey, with the Sir Jamey challenge, I'll give it another month. Boom. We are totally in business. And then we can get that hardware, get to work, buddy. I really appreciate it.
I'm secretly hoping somebody like tests me and they're like, it's always going to match me. Oh, here, match this. I'll be like, oh, all right.
You heard it. You heard it, folks. Go put whatever number you got. And this is the thing, because there's lots of listeners out there that are like, look, man, we're all hurting. And I know. Yeah. We're hurting also. That's the beauty of the value for value model, is we all hurt together. However, by the law of large numbers, I know for a fact that there are people out there that, maybe they're not inspired to get involved, but their resources to someone like us would seem endless. There are rich people out there that God has blessed, and, they didn't get rich by accident. They are smart people. They are wise people. They are shrewd. They are prudent. They are all the great qualities that it takes, not just for somebody to get rich, but for somebody to stay rich. And if there's any of you listening out there, I just heard Sir Jamey challenge you to find a number. Find a number.
Which is funny because I don't know. I thought you were going with I'm rich at that point. I'm not.
No.
But I believe so much in what's going on that worst case scenario, I pay for half of what's left. And I'm more than happy to do that.
Let's bankrupt Sir Jamey, everybody.
Please try. I'm on board. If I go bankrupt, then it's for God's will,
Sir Jamey might have to move into a tinier house.
House.
He'll live in a tinier house, and he will be so grateful for it.
Look, this is my tiny home. It's 390 square feet. Not very big.
It's beautiful. The tall ceilings really help. Cool. The tall ceilings really help the vibe. Did you build it yourself?
No, of course not. I don't have the tools.
I don't have.
When it comes to doing something, I have the skill, but if you don't have the tools, when you try to do a job with the wrong tool, you make your life harder.
That's true. I've learned that every day of my life. I told you I was a bad student. I told you I was a bad employee, and I'm telling you now, I was a bad sort of craftsman. And living off grid now for going on 2 years, I have suffered the consequences of my own bad craftsmanship. 2 years is enough. Like the things that I was just sort of, I don't know, just barely making it through. Building 2 years ago when I first got out here, the things that I was like, I don't know, I don't have the right tool, but like this has a sharp piece on it. I can just use this sharp to cut this, and whatever, not really being diligent. I am currently suffering the consequences of my previous non-diligence. So I think you made the right decision, Sir Jamey. And I think that has some relevance to what we're trying to do with Canary Cry 2. All right, buddy. You got anything else to say? I'm proud of us. We actually are just about to make it 3 hours.
Well, what's funny is I was worried about not having enough to talk about, and I actually didn't even get to some of the stuff I wanted to talk about. So look at that.
That's how it goes. Do you want to do a lightning round? Just blast through your list of stuff?
No.
Maybe.
No.
I know. It's
talk about me turning into a bumbling idiot. I'm already over my mental fortitude for the day.
Yeah, me too. You're good, dude. Well, Jamey.
Another episode, man.
Another episode. We'll do another episode. Thank you so much for so many things. It's really special. I'll say this. I did not become your friend after you became a rock star. You were legitly in my life way before all that. And so I don't want people to get the idea that like, oh, Basil made friends with a rock star and got him on his podcast, playing the game or something like that. No. You're looking at a man who has been through so much since I've known him. And it really is, it's one of those things that is filling me with joy. Filling me with joy to see how far the Lord has taken you, not just in your career, not just in your life, not just with the ladies, but just you as a man of God, man. It's very cool, and I look forward to being your friend for a very long time.
Well, that's the Joyspiracy Theory, right?
There you go. There you go, everybody. All right. I forgot how I used to end this show. Did I have a tagline or something? I don't know.
Dude,
I should have looked before we did this. But Sir Jamey, not
all good.
Sir Jamey, not the Lannister. You can catch him as an executive producer on Canary Cry News Talk every week. And folks, if you are not inspired by this individual, I have no other ways of helping you. I've run out of ways to help you in whatever you need me for. So if you need more, listen to this again and let the Lord speak while you listen. And other than that, we will see. We will see if there are more episodes of this show. If you want more episodes of this show, send an email to basil.rosewater@gmail.com or canarycryradio@gmail.com. You don't have to volunteer to be on it. Just say, please more. And I go, okay. But if you do want to be on it, let me know there too. And remember to put in your email, Sir Jamey inspired me to email you. And I will go, well, whatever Sir Jamey inspires, I take very seriously. Thank you very much, buddy. We'll keep in touch.
Too kind, man.
I don't know. We'll get you a shirt. We're going to get you that shirt so you can wear it on stage with the Rolling Stones.
I'm telling you, it brings up a lot of good conversations. So it's going to happen. I want to thank you and Gons first and foremost, and all the producers as well, because y'all keep me going. Regardless, selfishly, y'all keep me going. So
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it, buddy. All right, there you go, folks. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Joyspiracy Theory. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, joy outside the cage. We'll figure it out.
I love it.